affordable housing program. The 220 units will be constructed on a 10-acre piece of land at an estimated cost of 505 million shillings and will include 60 studio units, 21 bedroom units, 122 bedroom units and 23 bedroom units. Other social amenities include a social hall, playing area, commercial area and a tree nursery. Now, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has asked African countries to prioritize transformation in the education sector. Addressing the 39th annual conference of the Association of Education Assessment in Africa in Nairobi, Mudavadi said changes in the education sector is the way to go if the continent intends to compete with other continents on the globe.
All that remains is to appeal to member countries to institutionalize the sharing of best practices and rich learning experiences to improve assessments. I am proud to announce that Kenya, represented by the Kenya National Examination Council, apart from being a primary member of the association, has actively participated in all conferences since inception of the AEAA.
The Prime Cabinet Secretary insists that despite the fact that the sector is faced with a myriad of challenges due to technology and the implementation of the competency-based curriculum in the country, the government intends to use the AEAA conference to come up with ways to ensure no child is left behind in gaining basic education.
While we are faced with emerging challenges resulting from technological advancement and appropriate assessments for CBC, we look forward to best practice takeaways from this conference that will guarantee no learner is left behind on account of assessments under the CBC. Allow me to also speak to the 39th conference sub-themes, where I see a web of immediate interministerial engagements and synergies required to actualize key conference outputs.
The annual conference, which began yesterday, will end on Friday 25th, that is this Friday. And the technical committee under the National Dialogue team is set to harmonize the agenda for the bipartisan talks this week, set to finalize and enumerate the order within which the 10 listed issues for deliberations will be handled. The revelations were made following the committee's third meeting, where the members took stock of the progress made so far, including the approval of the motion legally established the committee. The ball is now in the Senate after the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, forwarded the motion for concurrence. The Senate, which is due to resume plenary sittings following a short recess, may be recalled for a special sitting to consider the motion legally establishing the National Dialogue Committee so that it can formally begin reviewing the 10 issues that have been tabled before it by the Kenya Kwanza and the opposition Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalitions. The High Court declined to suspend the Registrar of Societies directive that deregistered Pastor Ezekiel Odero's New Life Prayer Center and Church in Kilifi. Justice Jarius Ngaa, however, certified the matter as urgent and directed the pastor to serve his papers on the registrar and the attorney general, who have been named as respondents in the matter. They will have 7 days to file and serve their responses to the application by Odero, which will be mentioned on September 5th. Odero claims he was not given any opportunity to defend himself and the church before the Registrar of Societies embarked on deregistering the New Life Prayer Center and Church. He pleaded to have the decision overturned, saying it is curtailing his congregants' freedom of worship. This has since been declined. For the field end, Ugandan police have announced the arrest of 4 people for allegedly engaging in same-sex activity 3 months after the introduction of anti-gay legislation sparked international outrage. Police say authorities had arrested 4 people, including 2 women, at a massage parlor in the eastern district of Buikwe over the weekend. The United Nations, foreign government, including the United States, and global rights groups have condemned the new legislation, which was signed into law in May this year. Earlier this month, the World Bank announced the suspension of new loans to Uganda, saying the law fundamentally contradicts the values espoused by the US-based lender. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni has accused the World Bank of using money to try to coerce the government to drop the controversial legislation. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
You tune into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanya.
Amen. Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It gets over.
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes?
what the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself.
When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, oh, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom?
I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to. She's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, because if it was a man, but this was a lady.
It will be called First Ladies until you change the name.
The Situation.
This is one of the hottest show that we can ever miss in the morning, and it's a show that really gives the real situation in the situation room.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you guys so much. Ndutha, nice meeting you. Even beautiful in person more than in photos.
Say that again.
Character is like pregnancy. You cannot hide it. People hiding here and there, but after 2-3 months, 5 months, now you realize, so that is why the attitude that you are showing us, you're pregnant.
It's like what my grandmother would say. You cannot pickpocket a naked man.
How's that? It's communal, isn't it?
No comment.
The Situation Room. Kenya's biggest conversation.
Good morning and welcome to Tuesday. All right, second day in the week, and probably we will not see crazy traffic for the next couple of days. Probably looks like it will still be easy streets until we get into next week. Look at what's happening on Jogo Road. A little bit of traffic as you're heading out towards the City Stadium roundabout, and then on towards Landis, and then touching a little bit on Haile Selassie. Off the Thika Superhighway, we're not looking at much traffic at all. Looks pretty good. Coming out of Westlands, you'll see the same thing. Movement. And on the Northern Bypass, a little bit of traffic that's going to feed onto Kiambu Road. Some of it will go into the area of Kitisuru. And when coming out from Ruaka onto Limuru Road, it's all a watch, look and see this morning. See what happens as we get closer to traffic hour. Spice FM KE on Twitter. Talk to us there and let's keep things moving this Tuesday.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
What you're saying.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Uh-huh. I
Hello.
think, City, you need to employ a turn boy.
To carry your load, your kaya.
To be loading and offloading.
This is deliberate, by the way. This is me constantly exercising.
It would be an aerobic activity.
Even the bag itself, the weight. Half the stuff that is there I don't need. But
oh, hang on. You carry the bag so that you can have some muscular activity.
Yes.
Half the things in the bag you actually do not need.
No, I don't have 3/4
half.
actually. 3/4 because this is what I need, and yet the bag is still full. So, and that's the reason why also I walk up the stairs
with the bag
every day. Okay. It doesn't matter where I'm going. I walk up the stairs.
So when you
and walk
remove
down.
things from your bag, like the other day you gave me some mango juice, do you replenish? You did. You gave me mango juice from this bag.
Yes.
Said, yeah. I was like, oh, thanks.
Yes, but I replenish it with ginger and lemon.
Like in mini bottles or like
ginger and lemon dawa.
Yeah, dawa. I have a dawa. Just
is it hot?
I think it's warm.
So you have a dawa in the bag?
I do, yes.
And there's some honey, I'm sure.
You know, the problem with having people who do not have faith in themselves, they think, I've been drinking it, so this was really. It's called aging gracefully.
it's something. That's for sure. Woo!
Plus a charger, plus a power bank, plus a flask.
Plus more than one phone, just in case the other one.
In case the other one should die, we can do something. Right.
And then there's another one, just in case.
You don't even pick the other one. The one.
No.
So this other one.
The other one works. The one is done. The other one is the just in case. But there's also the God. Just in case.
You have redundancy for the redundancy.
A substitute.
Yes.
Well, all right then.
Look, friend. When you start your youth as a scout, you're told be prepared. It's like this book, visitor's book. It has a pen inside.
You took it literally. He took it literally.
The pen.
Be prepared.
Yes.
After all, you cannot have a book without a pen.
Yes, there's a pen for this one also.
Oh wow.
Every book has a pen.
Yes, more or less.
Where?
And look at you in a maroon tie this morning. Dapper, sir. What's going on?
Is it maroon?
It's maroon.
Nothing that maroon.
It's not like that one.
What? What? Even CT has said you're off, man.
Look.
What exactly are you pointing?
The top color.
Oh God in heaven, no.
But if you insist.
If you'd like it to be. If you'd like it to be
so
sure.
what's that color?
It's red.
That's red.
Yes.
Okay. And what's the color on the flame?
Which one?
Orange. On our logo.
Orange.
The top one.
It's orange.
Orange.
There's three different
orange,
two different
orange,
two different kinds
yellow.
of orange.
What is this? What color is this?
This is red.
Okay.
Yeah.
That thing is maroon.
Oh, stop it. His tie is maroon, isn't it?
No, I've agreed. It's maroon.
Thank you very much.
And the shirt is white.
Well done. If you're going to be a little bit basic, you say it's wine colored. Now it had be burgundy, that kind of wine.
Who?
Burgundy.
I'm gonna complicate issues.
Okay, maroon.
You can't. A color can't be just red anymore.
No, it cannot.
Or maroon. It's wine color.
Yes.
The burgundy.
Do you know that there's a kind of blue called cyan?
Yeah.
That one you knew.
It's not a kind of blue. It's cyan.
I had to help you because if I say cyan, you tell me who is that. Tell you its color.
What does it look like exactly?
Blue.
So why is it called cyan?
Because it's a different kind. It's not royal blue. It's not sapphire blue. It's not sky blue. Neither is it baby blue. It's cyan.
And these Mzungus have times, dear.
I'm telling you.
Too much. Too much.
You can't just leave well alone. The thing is blue, okay? Dark blue, light blue. You know we're done.
Silver.
Blue.
Blue is blue.
Blue is blue. Now you, okay, it's okay. So what color is this?
Blue. It's leaning on turquoise.
Bus.
Don't
venture anymore.
Let's just what we're supposed
Good
to
morning.
Do. Hey, Ednah has a message this morning. It's in the form of a song.
Oh, here we go.
Eh? Hey, this one is who? Major. You know Major?
Yes.
You know Major? Yeah, this is Major. Hey, we play. Now she's killing them.
Femi wampia kwangu weni mso kwanza vile ulituosha kwile basi ya ligi so
nakupenda manze wewe kuwa mhamu
kwanza vile ulituosha kwile basi ya ligi so
nakupenda manze wewe kuwa humble
asante
legend kwangu wewe ni icon
stories za icon kwanza weka mbali
Okoh
kwangu wewe ni icon
legend
city legend.
This genre of music is called what exactly?
Hii ni genge bana.
Oh, this is genge.
Got him.
Wewe anaitwa Femi One, huyo msichana. Na huyo jamaa anaitwa Major Okoh.
Okoh is who?
Okoh is Major.
Major is the guy.
That's right.
And Femi One is the girl.
What? That's how Ednah has woken up this
Pancheza.
Akikwambia wewe ndio icon.
Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Welcome to Tuesday, 16 minutes after 6. Let me tell you what we'll be discussing today. Number one, at 7 a.m., we will have a conversation about the future of climate change action, plans for sustainable development. Michael Owor is the head of Development Pillar and chair of the conference at the Global Center for Policy and Strategy. He joins us at 7 a.m. for that conversation. 8 a.m., let's talk about TVETs. The principal secretary in charge of vocational education and training, TVET, Dr. Esther Dhara Moria, joins us at 7 a.m. Now we're talking about post-secondary funding. So there's funding in TVET, funding at university. How the new funding model is going to impact the TVET curriculum in Kenya. This is what the PS will be coming to talk about at 8 a.m. And then at 9 o'clock, there are loopholes in the data protection laws in Kenya. That law is not even 3 years old yet. But there are loopholes that have been exploited, like those guys who are doing the I thing.
Already.
Yeah. So Amit Gadia is a data protection lawyer, advocate and solicitor, and she also advises on data protection laws. He will be joining us at 9 a.m. Amit Gadia for that conversation. Are you online? Because we are live streaming the show already on YouTube and Facebook. And I see many people are awake with very many stories. Is it true or not?
It's true.
What? Yeah, let's do the weather quick.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi at 15, highs of 26 and lows of 13. It's 13 and clear in Nakuru, highs of 26 and we'll see highs of 24. In a mostly cloudy Nyeri at 15, coming down to lows of 13. It's 12 degrees and clear in Eldoret, highs of 25. 23 and clear in Mombasa, highs of 29. And we'll see highs of 13 and partly cloudy Malindi at 24. 20 and clear in Kisumu, highs of 31. And 30 will be the high in a partly cloudy Kakamega at 17. It's 19 and cloudy in Kampala, highs of 29. And we'll see highs of 28 in a partly cloudy Dar es Salaam at 24. Looking into Johannesburg, it's partly cloudy at 12, highs of 27 and lows of 11, and at 26. Lagos is cloudy, highs of 30 and lows of 25. It's 23 and cloudy in Kinshasa, highs of 32 and lows of 22. It's a sunny Tuesday afternoon in Beijing at 28, highs of 31 and lows of 20. Paris is cloudy at 19, highs of 31, and it's going to go to highs of 26 in a cloudy London at 16. Partly cloudy at 26, still Monday night in New York, coming into Tuesday, highs of 32 and lows of 19.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Online.
Okay, excuse me. Good morning. Excuse me. Okay, get the frog out of there. Edward Munil says, happy anniversary. Yes, it's the whole week celebration. We go. Deno Macmende is tuned this morning. Sir George Gashoyudi says, good morning, Indusiti and Eric. How is your morning? Well, top of the morning to you, sir. Let's have a good conversation to warm up this morning. Let's do it. Okay, Don Sabwa is back and he's talking to us about how to speak in the local Malawian language. Sorry for the type O yesterday. So once more, Eric, Takulandirani. You answer back Kwambiri, meaning thank you. But since we missed you, we say Eric Ndakoswa, meaning we missed you. Kwambiri, all of you.
So Kwambiri is what?
Thank you.
Is thank you.
It's like saying Asante. Kwambiri. But then we say to you...
This is in Zimbabwe.
Kimalawi. We say Takulandirani. It's like we missed you. Then you say what?
Zambiri.
Oh, Kwambiri. Well done. Okay. This Masomboye says, good morning from Nairobi. Looking forward to an informative morning. Greetings to the two musketeers, you musket-wielding people. From Washington, D.C. Happy anniversary to all of you. Keep up the good work, Asante Sana. Alois Okoh says, good morning, team watching this morning from Donholm. Buenos dias, good people. May you have a wonderful and blessed day. We are ready and live. Welcome, welcome. Tuned in from Sotik is where Brian Langat is this morning. Duke of Boisanga. Okay, wait. Where is Boisanga? Is there a place like that? Or is there a place called Boisanga?
There must be. There must be.
There must be a Boisanga.
Yeah.
Ndogo City Muga, Madame Ndu and Sir Eric Latiff. Pleasure to have you back in the studio today with informative news stories. As always, many thanks indeed. Good morning to you. Joel Masharia. Good morning. Please change the dates on your heading. Why?
Tuesday, August 21.
Oh, it should be 22th.
Right, 22nd, yes.
Yeah, it should be the 22nd.
Yes.
Ednah, do like that.
Okay.
Let's enjoy the show. CT, Kizungu Ku. What's Ku?
Mob.
Sorry, what? As in plenty, a lot. Voila.
Great.
Okay. Good morning. How is everyone? Mwalimu Pokea high five. Thank you very much. Robert Mbogo says good morning. Joe Mungai is tuning from Bonnie Lake. Hi, Ndu City and Latiff. My thoughts and prayers to Fred Kungu Kyond of the US and Kibi Choi, who's lost his mum yesterday through a traffic road accident at Kibi Choi. Oh,
Poleni
so sad. Poleni Sana.
Poleni Sana, Fred Kungu.
Brian Otieno says aging gracefully. You're aging gracefully, or who's aging gracefully? Oh, City's aging gracefully. Mzee with his
many bags.
Many bags, or one bag and many things inside. Teddy Duncan says good morning, tuned in. Teddy Duncan Weru says good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, you're singing it this morning. Sami Lidania says good morning. Wonderful people. Have a blessed day from Mazeras. Good morning, champions. Masita Irene is tuned in this morning. Yes, and sorry. He has also agreed with me that this color is wine or Pinot Noir. Okay, sure, that's what it can be. Hassan Bachu says, good morning. Ndu, I'm impressed. You should offer a masterclass on colors. That's actually a very good idea. Actually, like a podcast.
You should. Yeah.
And just talk about colors. Okay. There's somebody in a land, Finland, in a city that I cannot pronounce. It starts with J, it's followed by Y and then V. Able try? JYV. Those are the first three letters. And then there's an A with the two dots on top, and then the S, and then the K, and then the LYLA with another two dots on top.
That's a nice one.
So no, that's a place in Finland.
Okay.
Don Sabo again, good morning. Bristol Aguila says good morning. Desmond Otis, Ndu, how far I day? Got here Mbongi. What?
Mbogi.
There's an N there, man. Right. Boisanga is a village in Gusiland. Okay. Lundu Kesia says...
Ednah, do you know it, Boisanga?
Do you know a place called Boisanga?
In which sub-county?
You know not.
Boisanga is a village in Gusiland. Yeah, it's okay.
Nishawa?
It's okay.
We shall trust you.
It's okay.
Hey, the more you talk, the more people log in. Let me just say the ones that are there very quickly. Lundo, Kennedy, Etiang, Musindi, we see all of you. Karibuni sana.
Everybody, welcome. Also our friend, not from Gusiland, not from Kisii, but from the other neighboring county of Nyamira. Kaiser Obed says good morning. Uncle Michael, sisi kama Arsenali pia tuko kwenye mpango wa leo. Sisi kama Arsenali. City?
Yes.
Are we still in Ouagadougouland?
We are still in Ouagadougouland, and we are in Ouagadougouland for the whole of this week.
Okay.
Even if you do not like the hair, recognize its speed.
Oh, hair like rabbit.
Hair as in rabbit, not hair as in nywele. Okay? So this doesn't help if you touch your hair. That's not what I'm referring to.
Phonetics. Ati hair or hair?
Oh, here. Sorry.
No, here is hapa. Hair.
Here ya kusikia.
Yes.
Here, hair,
Yes.
here.
The ear, born in the year of the
cow.
of the year.
Born in the year of
a
the cow. In that year.
Okay, so now this one, it is hair, not
even if you don't like the
hair. Hair. This is not hair. This is hair.
Even if you don't like her
The
hair.
hair.
Sorry.
Yes, not the hair.
You must recognize its speed.
Yes.
Okay.
So get your ducks in that row.
Now we've added ducks.
Ducks are important in this conversation.
Even if you don't like the hair,
recognize
you must
its speed.
acknowledge its speed.
Yes.
Those things move fast. Why lie? Especially the ones in the bush.
Those are hairs.
Well,
the ones that are not in the bush
are called rabbits.
And those ones have no speed.
They just hop along.
Zero speed.
Bunny rabbits.
For every hop, they chill for around 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Then they hop again.
Higher headlines.
Ruto grows into a darling of the West. That's on the front page of the Standard today. Western governments were receptive to opposition agenda, but recent activities show they were abandoning support for the democratic ideals, and with parliament in the hands of the executive, the political space has drastically changed. Okay. No calm yet on the Kisumu-Kericho border. We're looking at Sotik specifically. Tales of widows fighting alone to save their land is another headline. It's a sub there. And Ruto signs a deal with Indonesia president for what? For edible oils. Of course, it's going to be front and center of that. Oil and gas, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, livestock exports, and textile production. Those are the headlines. Oh, and the music festival folks who do so well have booked a date with the president.
Nice.
On the front page of The Nation, stormy teachers' pay talks begin. Mano el mano, it begins. Kupet has demands. Nut has demands. Union leaders meet Teacher Service Commission officials today to reopen salary increment negotiations that, however, start in acrimony after the representatives of tutors rejected a pay rise proposed by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, insisting on much higher perks that reflect the rising living costs. Sawa. Let
me tell you. Okay, you continue. You're on there.
Okay. A technical team has until Friday to draft agenda for Ruto-Raila dialogue. So stop pussyfooting around the issues. Get it down. You've got 3 days to do it. Let us know what the agenda is going
only.
to be. Just the agenda, man. If we can't even get an agenda, are we even serious about having these talks? You have 3 days to do it, folks. Let's get on it. All right. 6 Kericho County officials face ouster over Londiani crash victims fund scandal. My goodness gracious me. So again, there's that story about Kenya-Indonesia trade talks. Kenyatta University bags most trophies as the music festival closes, and the winners gala is today. Yes, they will meet the president. 2 petitioners challenge a move to have a single pay bill number for state services. They don't want it that you should just have one pay bill number where any state service. So if you go, doesn't matter where you go, there's one pay bill number that you pay into, and 2 folks have said nah. No, it's unconstitutional. You can't do that. We'll look at the details of that later. All right.
Okay, the Business Daily. That Hustler Fund, the default on the Hustler Fund, they've hit 3 billion shillings in 9 months. Borrowers on the state-backed Financial Inclusion Fund, popularly known as Hustler Fund, are defaulting on payments at a higher rate than those at commercial banks, SACCOs and microfinance banks, mirroring the headache mobile lenders face advancing unsecured loans to the informal sector. Out of the Hustler Fund's outstanding 10 billion shillings worth of loans, 29% is deemed to be portfolio at risk, implying it has not been serviced by the borrowers as per the agreed schedule. This means borrowed amounts worth 2.9 billion Hustler Fund loans fall in the category of non-performing loans. Expensive spare parts trigger car write-offs on weak shilling. Insurance companies are opting to write off some models of cars on Kenyan roads instead of repairing them as the cost of repairs and renting vehicles rises. Cars that are triggering most write-offs include the Mazda, Honda, and a number of German models such as BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Volkswagen models. The impact is less on Toyota and Nissan. The Association of Kenya Insurers Chief Executive Tom Muga says the weakening of the shilling and shortage of spare parts for some cars models have triggered a rise on the cost of repairs, making insurers to opt to write off. So your car gets a dent like this, bend a fender. Insurance tells you, this thing, look, we write off this thing, let's pay you for a car. And don't know gari ingine. Please, he use us spare.
Then don't be bringing
he
it back
use
on
us
the
come
road.
as crap.
Okay.
Don't bring it back on the road. Higher. The ticker headlines. The deal that Kenya signed with Indonesia on Widodo visit. Who's Widodo? Widodo is there? He's the president or prime minister of that country.
President.
He's the president of Indonesia. So the deal that they signed with the president of Kenya have been highlighted on page 5 of the Business Daily. Retirees failed to claim 166 million shillings benefits from NSSF. Retirees failed to claim all that money in benefits due from NSSF by the end of June 2022, according to the Auditor General, with fund coming under the spotlight of a failure to remit the funds to the Unclaimed Assets Authority. Yeah. There's an interesting photo on page 5 of the Business Daily. And this is a photo of KNTC unveils Mama Pima dispensers for cheap cooking oil. Kenya National Trading Corporation technician Peter Gabriel demonstrates how the Mama Pima edible oil dispensing machine works at the Deputy County Commissioner's office in Kawangware, Nairobi yesterday. The distribution of the machine for dispensing edible oil in small quantities is part of the government's effort to increase access to the commodity by low-income earners. So you basically, the Kenya National Trading Corporation, which is under the Ministry of MITI, is importing these edible oils from Indonesia and elsewhere. It is distributing them. It has even now come up with retail outlets for Kadogo.
Okay.
And you can buy a machine and stuff.
And how does this impact on people who manufacture the same commodity in the country?
They have not been doing this Kadogo dispensers, so you snooze, you lose. Them, they're still producing their thing and selling it in where they've been selling it. Okay? Kenya National Trading Corporation has now brought it into Kadogo. Unataka yangapi ya 40? It dispenses 40 bob. Mafuta ya kupima.
But you know, that has always existed. Just that it didn't have a dispenser where you go.
That's the thing. That's the thing. So there were no dispensers. Just now we have them like the milk dispensers that we've seen becoming.
So you can go dispense a little bit. You can go get half a liter, 200 ml of oil, 100 ml.
Oh, 200 ml ni nyingi.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine people are buying to use on the day.
Yep.
Yeah. So why not? Can't do that in the shop, can you?
Yep.
No. That Kadogo economy is a rather serious one, and you're right, Eric. It's been neglected. I remember East African industries had tried to break into it. Because if you recall, they started producing
small,
very, very minute products to be sold. Yes, which means they had actually gotten to understand that this economy actually works.
My concern is that the Kenya National Trading Corporation is not a retailer.
They've decided they aren't, haven't they?
Yeah.
And these
their job
dispensers
is
are directly under them, no?
It is a
They're the
direct
ones, yeah.
KNTC dispenser.
So it's an issue there. It's wide open. It's like, please come and take me to court.
It's a conflict of interest.
Not even that. I think it's just, I don't think they have the capacity.
Right, they shouldn't
will
be there.
face that
It's not their
challenge.
business. Will they then be able to maintain this? Okay, forget about the whole legal thing.
No, they
whatever.
can.
But will they be able? Is it their core business? That
Actually-
would mean that they would be strapped at some point and not be able to carry it out.
You know,
in the manner in which they begin.
we've actually moved away from that because if you look at how KNTC functions, and what it is that actually happens when you're told KNTC has imported. Is it them who have imported, or have they given people license to actually import on their behalf?
They've contracted people to
precisely
import.
So even this matter of dispensing, they may say it's KNTC dispensing, but what makes you think that someone has not been contracted to do precisely that?
You're right.
In the name of KNTC.
You've got a point.
Yeah.
The last time we hosted the boss of KNTC here, she was talking about working with retailers for grains. Remember?
Yes.
Establishing a connection with various shop outlets across the country.
Yes.
Where then the product is distributed from KNTC all the way to shop level. Okay.
It's not a new model, though.
But then you see, the thing is, okay, anyway.
It's not a new model. If you know about the existence of KNTC, every time things came into the country, remember, it was the trading arm, commercial arm of ICDC. Okay? And they had centers, yards, go-downs all over the country. So essentially, the very retailers you're speaking of would get things from them. Yes. Anyway, as you say correctly, Aisuru, right. Something is happening in Tanzania.
Okay.
Headline in there, no, well, not headline, is headline Dogo, is sub-headline in the East African. Is Samia using Magufuli tactics to stem dissent? Rights groups say dozens of people have been arrested for opposing the Dubai port deal. Yes. Why are they arresting people? So they just allow people to protest. The president favored a much more mellowed approach to criticism of a government, unlike a predecessor who cracked down on any kind of opposition. Okay? They said the arrests do not in any way restrict freedom of expression in Tanzania. This is what the information minister said, essentially saying, you just say what you want, we will still arrest you. We're not stopping you from speaking. You just speak.
But you come and be our guest.
Yes. I don't know. Sometimes you wonder, is it a reporting issue or is it a factual issue? Because when you are told people were arrested, do we actually know what they were actually arrested for, beyond what is being reported they were arrested for?
Or what they were being arrested for?
Yes, because as you say, so-and-so was arrested for opposing the government. They're not the only ones. The others who oppose the government and they were not arrested. So how does that happen? What is it about some of the people who have been arrested that goes beyond them simply opposing the port deal? Dissent and the African continent.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's look at traffic. Then you'll tell us about the star. Sawa.
Yes, sawa kabisa.
Sawa. Very good.
Sawa kabisa.
Very good. Now that we have manufactured consent, we can do this.
All right, hasn't changed much. A little bit now starting to build on the thicker superhighway coming into the CBD. But we're not going to have much in terms of traffic today. We can already see this. And some movement coming out of Westlands. James Gishero looks all right. You're coming off of the Northern Bypass and you find some traffic as you try to get onto Kiambu Road. But then you're free as air all the way through to Muthaiga Square. Hey, did you hear that rhyme? Okay, as you're coming in from Mombasa Road, you're not going to have an issue either. You're looking good as you go towards Cabanas onto North Airport Road and then towards the Eastern Bypass. Now, on the Eastern Bypass, heading out towards that Roy Junction is where you'll see some movement. And in and outbound traffic is doing the thing right around the AP Training College Junction. So just watch out for that. If you're heading in that direction, it's going to slow you down just a tad. Apart from that, it looks pretty good right about 6:30. Take a look in about half hour or so and see how Tuesday's panning out. Let's talk on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Today I didn't get the star.
Oh.
They told me it had not arrived.
They said it will come tomorrow.
Well, it hadn't arrived because I have two sources. One source didn't have it. The other source was just not there. So.
Sourceless.
One source didn't have. Other source.
There's a third source, but that third source never has the star, so I don't bother.
Okay. Sawa, pole kwao. Haya.
All right, let me tell you about the war that might occur between, the TSC and the teachers' representatives as the talks begin. Let's do a little bit of background. Remember a few months ago when there was a relooking at the CBA and whatever perks or, bumps they were given were non-monetary, paternity leave, things like this. They said, okay, thank you very much. That's very nice. But we are not a window. We will not be dressed. We want real things. Now, that real things conversation is taking place today. Kupet is very interested, according to Secretary General Misori, on a 30 to 70% salary increment. Don't play with us, guys. Here, between 30 and 70% is what we're talking about. If you're not talking about that, remove the table. So don't even, what you're putting on the table, remove the table completely. Then they're also talking about implementation of career progression guidelines. Tell us how we're going to move up. I cannot come in at this level and remain at this level until my dying day. Not possible. Let's talk about a proper career path in terms of promotions. Let's talk about enhanced medical benefits, especially maternity. What you people are giving us in terms of what we can do when it comes to childbirth is not fair. It's not enough. We keep having to go into our own pockets. Let's talk about a pension that actually works. Don't just give us things on paper. These things must actually work. Review of stipends for intern teachers. You cannot put an intern in school and just give them anything that you like. No, we need to look at these stipends and they need to make sense. That's part of what Kupet is saying. Not on the other side, Secretary General Collins Oyu said he wants the lowest paid teacher to secure the highest percentage pay rise. SRC has proposed a 7 to 10% pay rise. SRC was here the other day. They said that the folks who are going to get the bulk in terms of increment in the country today with this latest review is who? Is teachers. But now, OU is saying, yeah, okay, that's very nice. But we want to make sure that it is the highest that can be gotten. Don't just give us something and then you tell us that. And because we've given most to you, no. Look at the details of this increment and make it worth our while. He is opposed to the demotion of primary school heads without degrees as proposed by the Presidential Task Force. Remember what they said? You don't have a degree, there's only a certain level you can teach at. That's what the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms had suggested. Or you said, forget about it. The things that these people are doing. And now you want to come and say because of a degree, then they must be demoted. Or the institution then must fire them. Remember that was clear? They're saying, stop it.
May I agree with you?
Or you said you cannot do that. That is not fair.
I agree with him completely. One is the degree that is the headmaster of the person.
Surely. And they've been teaching all this time and children have been going to school and coming out. What is it?
Man, people really miss the point.
Yeah?
In many countries, one of the things that is always done, you have to give an academic equivalent to someone's experience.
Yes.
Okay? Yes. All that experience is what people write, and that's what forms books. That's what people learn. Now, this is a person who's acquired that knowledge over a period of time, and they know stuff. And then you're saying that is inconsequential. They must go and study academically. They already have studied.
It's not even the study, CT. They want that. They want that piece of paper.
They want a degree certificate.
Yes, they want the certificate to confirm this. Now, it is on the back of all of this that the teachers' unions and the TSC are having these conversations today. And they are saying that they're going to present the TSC with the set of proposals, some of which we've talked about just now. TSC has invited NUT and Kupet to discuss the CBA barely a week after the Salaries and Remuneration Commission announced a 7% to 10% pay rise for civil servants. However, union officials have rejected the percentage increment and they're demanding a higher pay due to high taxation. That when you're giving us this higher pay, can you also look around the country, stick your finger in the wind and see what exactly is going on? And the direction that is blowing is that life is becoming more expensive for everybody. Now, that is what you must use to apply this increment to our salaries. Now, they said, so that thing that you're telling us about 7 to 10%, it's not going to happen. The Commission and the unions want to review the non-monetary CBA signed in 2021 due to the harsh economic times. Kupet has proposed some of the things that I talked to you about. They said that they're meeting today. Kupet Mombasa Executive Secretary Lynette Hamadi said a 30 to 70% increase in basic salary was high on their list of proposals. So it's like they're saying, look, this is the one that we should consider. All these other things, we can even forget about them. But this one, just know that's the table. If we're not discussing that one,
nothing. No point having a conversation.
No, please.
So Collins Oyu is now ready to talk money. When he came in, immediately he assumed office. He was like,
no problem. We'll take paternity leave. No wahala. Now he said, what?
Now he has firmly occupied the seat.
Entrenched.
Bas. Katambe. Now, on this day, in 1978, about 3:30 a.m., so we are told, the founding president of the Republic of Kenya, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, died. We are told he died in his sleep at 3:30 a.m. on the 22nd of August, 1978. So today is that day. How many years later? 40 what?
5.
Yes. Hiya, let me take you to Kericho. A probe by the county assembly into the alleged misuse of 14.5 million shillings raised for the 77 Londiani accident victims has revealed how the money was spent. We know it was collected through a funds drive led by the DP Rigathi Gachagua on July 4th. The cash was meant to assist the families of the 53 people who died and the 24 who were injured in the June 30th accident. County Secretary Wesley Bor, who chaired the committee that disbursed the funds, alongside Finance Executive Leonard Ngetich and his health counterpart Brenda B, have been implicated in the misuse of the funds, with the County Assembly recommending their removal from office. Office of the Governor Chief Officer Alphonse Rotich, his public service counterpart Betsy Chebet Tonui, and Finances Gilbert B have also been implicated. Documents tabled before the Assembly detail how the money was spent before Deputy Governor Fred Kirui blew the whistle. After careful examination of the documents provided to the committee, some 14.5 million shillings was raised, the report says. It further says Kericho Referral Hospital raised a medical bill of 2 million shillings, Londiani Sub-County Hospital 1.5 million shillings. Checks for the payments were drawn following the approval of the committee. This was against a directive by the Governor, Dr. Eric Mutai, that the county government would meet hospital and morgue service costs. That is one issue. Put it on the side. The Assembly also found that whereas the actual medical bill at the referral hospital was 600,000 shillings, it was revised upwards to 1.8 million shillings. Are we together so far?
Yes.
The hospital presented a bill of 600,000 shillings. Mr. Bor's committee changed it upwards to 1.83 times million shillings.
Am I allowed to ask a question, or should I allow
A bill of 850,000 shillings was raised for morgue services for the 49 bodies at the sub-county hospital, 38,500 for 2 bodies at the referral hospital. A further 31,000 bill was raised for treatment and mortuary service for a victim who succumbed at Nakuru Provincial General Hospital. 3 patients who are still admitted at the Kericho County Referral Hospital have so far incurred a bill of 198,000. It also emerged that 405,000 shillings bill was raised for electricity supply at the sub-county hospital.
What?
Instead of 13,000 shillings, with a mobile morgue having been provided by the Kenya Red Cross to preserve some of the 49 bodies. Dr. Moore, in a memo dated July 19th to Mr. B, broke down how 13.5 million shillings would be disbursed, with a balance of 112 remaining in their account. The families of the 53 people who died in the accident were paid 4.7 million shillings, each receiving 90k. 12 survivors got 60 Gs each, translating to 720,000 shillings. 2.9 million shillings was to be paid to Supertix Limited for supply of tents. Supertix supplying tents.
I have questions.
For supply and tents and other items that were used during the fundraising presided over by the DP in Londiani town. 400,000 shillings to Supershine Limited for supply of tents at Ray's Hotel on the day of the fundraiser. 100,000 shillings to the hotel for lunch for 100 people. Ask your question before I continue.
The hospital that raised a bill of 600,000. By the time a hospital is raising a bill, they've treated everybody. They've said, we've done like this, like
this.
This
is our bill so
This
far.
is how much you should pay us, Abby. Did more people come after, or this bill, they had closed it and said, we've finished everybody who came as a result of this accident, we've sorted them out? Or did more people then come after the bill had been given out?
Me, I don't know. Yeah,
That would be the only explanation.
I'm just saying. What was tabled in the county assembly after their investigation was that the hospital had presented a bill of 600,000 shillings. It was revised upwards to 1.8 by Dr. Ball's committee.
Very good. All right. Thank you very much.
You know, if you were to query
Can I
that-
continue something here? Before
No, please continue. Please continue, Eric.
Yeah. In another memo, the office of the county commissioner requested to be reimbursed 300,000 shillings spent during rescue efforts at the scene of the accident. The memo was signed by Stephen Orinde, and it broke down the expenditure as 150k for fuel, 60,000 shillings for security meetings, another 60k for lunch, some 30 Gs for airtime.
You know, this
On one day.
No, for that period.
You know,
Rescue. Yeah.
It was.
You know,
there were security meetings.
It's fine. Every time
There was fuel.
the county has a function, the county caters for it.
For their own things.
Yes, they do. It's a county function. They cater for it.
Yeah.
This accident occurred within that county. The emergency services exist in that county. Okay? If there had been no Harambe, how would they have organized this? Because they would still have needed to take people to hospital. They would still have needed to do everything that you're hearing about. So because the VP, the president and his entourage come to Londiani,
You have to make it.
all of a sudden,
Yeah.
the tent and stuff, and I get that one. I don't get the price, but I get the tent. I even get the carpet. I understand all that.
You can
No,
see.
I understand red, first of all. I understand it very, very well. But this madness that has engulfed this country, where even when people have died and have been injured, you find it is not an issue to take their money.
In fact, you see that as an opportunity to get some money. You see, oh, wow, in this, we can actually make something.
See, watch I continue. You've had the county bosses were giving 30 Gs for airtime, 60k for
15,000
lunch, 100 Gs for fuel, like that.
No, we want you to continue because ours was just a punctuation. Now, carry on.
Reverend Joyce Tonui of the African Gospel Church was refunded 100,000 shillings, which was paid to the clergy by the committee for praying for and counseling
Get
the
out of
victims.
town. City Amanda. What time is it? Okay. Okay.
Higher. Interestingly,
That one was not interesting.
this committee by Dr. Bor also authorized payment of 157,000 shillings as compensation for victims of a fire at Barsiele Trading Center, which was not related to the Londiani road accident.
But was paid for money from this victim's money.
Yes.
Sorry, just say that again.
There had been a fire incident at Barsiele Trading Center. There were victims.
Yeah.
So 157 Gs was taken from this kitty to go and compensate. Unajua ni watu yetu.
Watu tuwasaidie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Na walipatwa na ile mkasa ya moto. Wacha pia wakapata kitu kidogo. CDP alikuja hapa na akatoa pesa. Dr. Ball was accused of forgery, violation of the Public Finance Management Act. Mr. Ngetich and Ms. B are accused of abuse of office, failure to disclose information to the ad hoc committee investigating this matter, and all. And they've been told, you know what, guys? Just go home.
Yeah, just go and be resting small. We're coming.
But prayers are important.
Prayers were prayed. So let me ask you.
Clergy
you know,
will
it is
pour
stated
100,000
here,
shillings.
They refunded.
Yes.
So her deposit was the prayer.
Yes.
They've now refunded her. I know.
It was an expense.
Imagine.
This is a reimbursement.
So like reimbursement to travel.
Remember the COVID era when we were
Good Lord in heaven.
querying some of the expenses.
And she came with receipts.
Imagine. I wonder who issued. Sorry.
Prayer for so and so opened the prayer. How we give her 20,000 shillings. Then whoever now did the closing prayer, that one we give 35.
And then like 50 people said amen.
Yes.
We give them 100 each. Hey. I don't know.
City. Don't be troubled.
I am troubled. I am genuinely troubled because
this is the same country you've been in for the last 65 years.
It is.
It's the one.
It is the same country, but you see, I hadn't seen it in Technicolor. Now I am.
Now you're seeing it.
And in 4D. I'm actually seeing things. And it isn't, when we talk about the mental health problem that the country has, you're talking about people's mind. This one, man, we have a spiritual problem. It's profound. The soul has been corrupted thoroughly. I mean,
eroded completely.
Man, people have died, they have suffered, they've lost property, and you have no compunction whatsoever. This little money, and all these people who are being mentioned have jobs. Yes. They are very good paying jobs in the county.
They're in this circle by virtue of the fact that they're in that area.
Yes,
working
they
anyway.
work.
Yeah.
So you feel that this money was collected for these individuals, you must steal some. Hey. Man, we are far gone.
Where?
We are really far. We are really far gone.
Bring prayers into it and ask for a refund, a reimbursement on your. That's the one that has got to be. No, all these other things I can even see. I can see these other things like hospital bill inflated, whatever. Prayer that you prayed and then they should reimburse you. Who wrote the receipt?
It was a heavenly receipt.
I'm telling you, heaven confirmed that yes, the prayers reached us.
and we've released an invoice. So take it to these people so they can pay.
Angel has sent an email. Or what? Come on.
And tell them we've given them a discount. It's only 100,000. Normally such prayers we charge around 300,000.
The souls of the departed have been received.
No, we've sorted it out.
We've sorted it out.
Yes.
Now just tell them 100 is okay.
Those houses that are being built, they've received residential permits. They're living. We've sorted now. But since it was such a bizarre thing.
Do you know what's even more bizarre for me? That somebody in their thinking capacity actually wrote it down as an expense. Wrote it and said, refund of prayers. Abi, what did they say? Refund for prayers made. 100,000. Wrote it down and handed it over, and then somebody accepted it. For the love of God.
And the person who's accepting is the head of public service for the county. All right? The county secretary is the chair of this. He's the whole doctor, but as in he said, all right, so this one let's authorize.
It looks good, yes.
Authorize this one, okay. Bona County Commissioner, you had officers. Now you mobilize people you called. You used your phone to call, all right? So we reimburse you 30,000 shillings for airtime. Okay, yeah. And then you used fuel.
You came here.
You came here to do your work. So we give you.
And fuel is.
So who are we reimbursing? Are we reimbursing the Ministry of the Interior? Who is getting this money that is going to the county? 150,000 shillings for fuel. Who's getting that? Is it the Ministry of the Interior that?
Who?
And all these lunches.
Are we done a harambe to actually reimburse the ministry?
For them to do what?
And all these lunches these people keep having. In government, something called an out-of-station allowance. Meaning if you travel within the same county and you go somewhere, there's like an allowance, 500 something you're given for lunch. You are given.
A DSA.
Yes, you are. So this other lunch that these guys are paying for, what is it for?
They're still eating it today. Ridiculous.
City, like you're saying, we are far gone.
Imagine.
We are far gone. That we can even be at a level where we are saying, let's investigate how money that was meant to go to victims.
Eric, we're robbing the dead.
Tragic accident.
People who died, families lost.
We are robbing the dead, and these people who died, by the way, were the bread earners. That's why they were where they were. That's why they were doing what they were doing. That's why this accident found them where it found them.
Yep.
So this one off from the government, and these guys are probably happily saying we give the 90,000 to do what
60,000. 60,000.
Make it
60 G.
Yes. To do what with exactly? It's a one-off. The person is gone.
This one, no.
And then we are reimbursing the Ministry of Interior.
Imagine for doing their work.
And officers who came there because they came and they were having security.
Station, they went to London.
They were having security meetings. We give them money because they. What on earth are we talking about?
Then you have to feed people.
Madness.
Then you're paying tit-bit tents. You God knows what.
Super tick.
Ticks. Super ticks. It's 7 a.m. News.
Spice and everything I spice.
spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. The Ministry of Labour has pledged to develop the social protection bill that will enhance opportunities for the poor and vulnerable to improve and sustain their lives. In a high-level meeting that brought together development partners, civil society organizations and the private sector, the partners have committed to support the government in giving the vulnerable population dignified lives. Principal Secretary said the government have accelerated the inclusivity and integrate social protection system in the country that will help to increase the number of beneficiaries of the program from the current 1.2 million to 2.5 million to be effective in the month of September. Businesswoman Nancy Kigunzo, popularly known as Madeo Ngara, linked to a drugs haul recovered in Ngara, Nairobi, has been arrested. Nancy Kizungu was arrested Monday evening in Nairobi despite moving to court to seek anticipatory bail to stop the arrest. She is said to be arraigned in court today. Kizungu, who described herself in court papers as a law-abiding citizen, said she never committed any crime in Kenya and that she has never been summoned by police officers or charged with any crime. 3 other people arrested in connection to the drugs recovered last week, including her 2 children, will know their fate today when the Anti-Narcotics Court delivers a ruling on whether police will be allowed to detain them for 5 days or more. Here is a clip of those who are arrested and their families speaking.
Si alikuwa ameshikwa na akapelekwa huko, kwani ajulikani namna gani? Lazima wawe wanamjua, na wale walimshika wengi wao si walikuwa hapo, ni vitu walitoa kule, walitoa wakakosa mtu wa kupeleka nayo, wakashindilia mtoto wangu, mtoto msichana wangu ndio hako na hiyo mali.
Nadi kama wanasema tuko na hizo pesa zote, mbona saimi si yuko shule?
Ni sisi tunaweza kuaje, tunauza vitu kama hiyo na tuko na pesa kama hiyo na tuwe tunakaa hivi tunakaa. Huwezi kuangalia mtu yuko na pesa ukajua huyu mtu ako na pesa.
Still in the corridors of justice, and the High Court declined to suspend the Registrar of Societies directive that registers Pastor Ezekiel Odero's new Life Prayer Center and Church in Kilifi. Justice Jairus Nga, however, certified the matter as urgent and directed the pastor to serve his papers on the registrar and the Attorney General, who have been named as respondents in the matter. They will have 7 days to file and serve their responses to the application by Odero, which will be mentioned on September 5th. Odero claims he was not given any opportunity to defend himself and the charge before the Registrar of Societies embarked on deregistering the new Life Prayer Center and Church. He pleaded to have the decision overturned, saying it is curtailing his congregants' freedom of worship. This has since been declined. And the Joint National Assembly Ad Hoc Committee has started its inquiry into the activities of the foreign company WorldCoin. The 17-member committee, led by Narok West MP Gabriel Tongoyo, seeks to inquire about legal and regulatory compliance of the operations of WorldCoin and its subsidiary partners. The committee will also investigate potential health hazards caused by the scan, the intended use of the data collected and its safety in the hands of the collector. Apart from the National Intelligence Services and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, some of the witnesses and experts expected to appear before the committee include Central Bank of Kenya Governor Kamau Thuge and Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury Njugu Nando. They will shed light on the relationship between cryptocurrency trade in Kenya and the recent activities of WorldCoin, among others. And the gala performance of students who excelled in the National Music Festival competitions held in Nyeri will be held at Nakuru High School instead of Nyeri as previously planned. The students who emerged the best in about 600 items have had to travel suddenly to entertain President William Ruto in Nakuru at State House. The event organizers have, however, failed to give explanations on why the sudden change. In the national competition that lasted about 11 days, students from various schools showed their skills in reciting poems in various languages, including foreign languages, singing in various styles and cultures, dancing, arranging music, and so on.
Bado safari ni ndefu, wasafiri tusichoke. Bado bakie bila bado batole.
Furtherfield and Ugandan police have announced the arrest of 4 people for allegedly engaging in same-sex activity 3 months after the introduction of anti-gay legislation sparked international outrage. Police say authorities had arrested 4 people, including 2 women, at a massage parlor in the eastern district of Buikwe Saturday. The United Nations, foreign governments including the United States and global rights groups have condemned the new legislation, which was signed into law in May this year. This is Newsweb. Dennis Aseto, good morning.
Spice FM, Nakuru.
A little bit of movement is coming in from Githurai, then towards the Thika Road Mall, and then touching on Safari Park Hotel out towards the city. Generally, is where we'll see some traffic, but you'll be fine all the way through. Service lanes or not on the highway, getting out towards the Pangani underpass, and then we'll see movement as you get towards Moranga Road or going out to the Wangari Maathai Way. All right. Northern Bypass moving along without an issue. Kiambu Road doesn't have much there. Ruaka, and then as you come into the junction, then between United Nations Avenue and Ruaka, you'll see that Limuru Road gets some traffic getting on into the city. Jogo Road was busy, and Landis Road is busier still as you're getting into the CBD. And we're also seeing some movement then on North Airport Road going out towards Cabanas. The Eastern Bypass is where you see most of it this morning. But apart from that, doesn't look like much. Let's talk though. Spice FM KE on Twitter. We want to keep things moving this morning. Let us know what's going on where you are.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7. How are you doing? Welcome to the second hour of the Situation Room, live on KTN Home, on Spice FM, and online, YouTube and Facebook, on this 22nd day of August 2023. Looking back at 45 years ago, on this same day, 1978, about 3:30 a.m., we're told that the founding president of the Republic of Kenya, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, died in his sleep. So on this day, where were you, City?
I was in Mombasa.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it's a very strange thing that happened. It's like one moment there seemed to be some sun shining, then there was an overcast. And then there was this dreadful music that they kept playing on the radio. I mean, it was unusual. One didn't hear anything on the radio, but just that music.
They were just playing music.
Yes, and we didn't know what exactly. But you felt something was off. Something wasn't right. By the time it was announced, actually, it's like everything came to a standstill.
Yep.
And people were confused. People didn't know what to do, where to go.
People dispersed, I hear.
Yes.
When people were gathered, the news came, people were just moving away.
Just moved away, and everybody went their separate way. And went to their homes and sat to listen. I remember the testimony of somebody I knew who had been a close friend of the founding president's family. Then they took off to Tanzania. Told me they did not know what was going to happen now that Mzee had died.
There was a lot of uncertainty.
Yes. So them fueled the car,
crossed over the border.
Then they started going towards Tanzania.
What?
they didn't know. They were you see, we'd never experienced such a thing.
Yeah.
And people were very, very, very unsure. And at that point in time in the history of this continent, my friend, coups were just the order of the day.
Yeah.
You didn't know. And remember that in this country, we had 2 attempts, 2 coup attempts. One doesn't talk of them, but there had been 2 coup attempts by the army. They were quietened. Some military officers lost their jobs, but there had been attempts. So it wasn't as though people were certain that now that the president was dead, what would happen next. And prior to his death, there had been some serious rumblings about the succession and who should take place. So the uncertainty had likely been built by the political class.
Right.
Yes. And there was a cabal of people, specifically from Kiambu, who actually felt that they are the ones who should take over should the president die. And then there was one individual again from Kiambu who said, excuse me, according to our laws, if you even contemplate the death of the president, it's treason. Contemplate now. How do you judge contemplate? How do you understand? So that quietened the conversation.
What?
But it was one of the most, not even uncertain, bizarre days in my life. It was very, very, very bizarre.
On this day in 1978. Let's tell you about what will be happening this weekend. The 26th of August, all roads lead to Popper Road on South Sea. This is near Bellevue because Automark is having an open day. Who's Automark? Automark is the branch of CFAO Motors that deals with pre-owned motor vehicles. Very good quality. But previously known as Toyotsu, they're still where they used to be. Where Toyotsu used to be is still the same place. It's now called Automark. Take your vehicle there. They will do some quick checks for you. Also, if you're looking for a pre-owned motor vehicle, on open day this Saturday, go there, identify a car, and you're sure that you'll be buying a very good vehicle. Once you take that vehicle, hit the road,
Jack.
go to Nakuru.
Indeed, go to Nakuru. Because let me tell you who's going to be there. Otile Brown. Calligraph.
That's it.
That was done, right? Okay. But let me tell you others as well. Calligraph will be there. Niviri will be there. City's guy Ben Sol will be there. Nadia Mukami, Saru, and Father Moore. Why are all these people gathering in Nakuru
Father Moore
on the
what?
26th?
No.
Not furthermore.
Not furthermore, brother.
Furthermore.
And then not father as in daddy. No, not that one.
It's actually father as in daddy.
No.
It is daddy more.
I'm explaining to this guy.
Oh, this guy so that he can understand. Sorry,
yes.
please carry on.
I'm not carrying.
Furthermore,
Oh, you're done.
Yes, me, I'm finished.
Father Moore will be there.
Baba Mo. Okay, he will be there. So you're wondering, what are all these people gathering for? It's Choma Nangoma. It's happening on the 26th of August. And this time, why Eric says, get on the road and go to Nakuru, because it's the first edition of Choma Nangoma that's happening outside of Nairobi at the Rift Valley Sports Club in Nakuru. Get your engines up, go, cuz we're going to Nakuru on the 26th. Tickets are 800 shillings. Go to ticketsasa.com and buy your tickets. It's going to be fun. It's going to be music. It's going to be food. It's going to be partying on the 26th of August like this, like that.
What? Okay. The military went to Mombasa, Mamangina Drive, and did their thing. And now Mamangina Drive is... The military came to Uhuru Gardens and did their thing. Uhuru Gardens is the military has been at KICC doing their thing. KICC, we are told, will be in time for the Africa Climate Talks. When are they?
In September, next month.
Next month. Okay. As a build-up to that, there are several mini climate conferences taking place. One of them is taking place soon. And Michael O'War, who is the head of development pillar and chair of the conference at the Global Center for Policy and Strategy, joins us to talk about one of those build-ups. Michael, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the welcome.
I see you're a man in... So what blues are those, Ndu?
Many blues there. I can see navy blue, there's sky blue, there's blue.
blue, navy
blue, navy blue, sky blue.
Okay.
Les
Bleus.
In fact, actually, Les Bleus, the blues.
He's the blue.
He's Les Bleus.
Bas. Michael, welcome. These are the gentleman who is in a blue jacket. We'll give you the day's proverb.
Hey, that one was long in coming. Even if you do not like the hair, not hair, recognize its recognize its speed. Hair here refers to sungura. not Nywele.
Even if you don't like
Kakasungura, tafadhali. Tambua speed yake.
Right.
Yes.
Michael, this proverb is from where? City?
Burkina Faso.
Right.
Otherwise known as, formerly it was called Upper Volta, as opposed to Lower Volta. Yes.
What do you make of that proverb, Michael?
I would say give credence where it's due, recognize somebody's expertise. As the Swahili say, I'm not very sure. Something gaganini, but haki yake mpe.
Mgala
muwe.
Lakini haki yake mpe.
So I would relate it to that. That despite our very many differences, there are things that each one of us is good at, and that is what needs to be appreciated.
You are good at development matters. You're a development expert.
Yes.
Right?
Try.
So what is the Global Center for Policy and Strategy?
So the Global Center for Policy and Strategy, in the acronym is GLOSEPS, is a non-profit think tank. We major mainly on research, policy research, and our work mainly is to connect the practitioners with the people who develop the knowledge and experience, and then link the two, so that at the end of the day there is decisions that are informed by evidence. So the Global Center has 5 areas that we are very specific about, and all of them are interconnected. One of which is development, the one that I have the privilege of leading. There's another one for peace and security, transnational organized crime, ethics and governance, and foreign policy and diplomacy. So we work interdependently with other state and non-state actors to influence policy.
We've been talking about climate for a while.
Yes.
And climate then also impacting development of countries.
True.
Draw that line, a direct line between climate change and the impact on development of nations.
So when you look at the journey for climate change and what we are now experiencing, there are implications with regards to how the climate affects our well-being. So, for example, just to give what comes to mind very, very fast, is in the past 2 years or 3 years, the Horn of Africa has been experiencing some devastating drought, which is related to climate change. There's also innovations which are taking place even here in Nairobi, where the city of Nairobi is transitioning the transport system from petrol-powered or fossil-powered towards electric-powered mobility, especially for public transport.
And electricity not generated using petrol.
Yes, that's hopefully that's the issue.
Yes,
that needs to be discussed and also expounded more. There's also the issue of urbanization, especially for the East and Central Africa region, where most of the populations we are seeing are moving into cities because that is where opportunities are. And then that brings with it aspects that need to be discussed. For example, how do you cater for this number of people who are coming into the cities? Are the infrastructure in a position to sustain them? And then the implication, for example, when you look at Nairobi, for example, there is a lot of stress on water. The Nairobi Water Company may not be able to. So a lot of people are really digging boreholes to be able to cover that need.
Yeah.
But the challenge is that we have situations where now, because of the extraction of water, there's a gap below, and then we're experiencing now buildings now going down because the situation is becoming more dire. So you look at climate change and aspects of development, aspects of peace and security, aspect of foreign policy. It's a whole interconnected realm that is important to the discussion. Yes.
Sure. So the world still continues to look around the issue of climate. The world is having a conversation in Nairobi in September.
Yes.
The world then comes to Dubai later in the year and has a conversation again. We're at 28 now.
Yes.
Of these kind of conversations. It's happening this year. But the thing is that the question still remains front and center, that are nations in the global south going to be able to put their development agenda on hold or at a reduced level because of the issue of climate degradation? And should they? And here we are, the very basic thing that we've spoken about, water. It's unheard of or unthinkable that in the global north, for example, although I don't like those demarcations, but okay, let's go with it for that, for the purposes of this conversation. It is unthinkable that you open a tap somewhere in Europe and water does not come out of it for months. Right? Something as basic as that happening in this side of the world, but we say, well, you know what? Perhaps we need to think about something else, because if we don't, or rather if we do, still focus on not digging boreholes, we put a strain on the environment in terms of water sources. So what do? Do you develop and sort out your people? Or do you say, let us heed these global conversations as a nation? That's where the conversations are today.
Yes.
What should happen?
So, just to paraphrase and looking at what is happening, when you talk about climate change and the agenda that is being set, both in the so-called global north and global south, what is coming out clearly is that different nations have different priorities, which in essence guide the way they relate or they prioritize climate change issues. So in a nutshell, I would say that the way to go is both to look at efforts to collaborate, but also at the same time look at what are the priorities of each and every country. Looking, for example, we talk about climate change, especially in the global north, and there's the emphasis that there's need to decarbonize. And we look at, for example, Kenya, we have the project in Turkana, which we're having issues financing. And also our brothers in Uganda seem to be having a problem with theirs, especially with regards to financing, because of what is called decarbonization. But when you look at what is happening, especially with the advent of the Russia-Ukraine war, and the need for alternative energy sources, you're finding that Europe is now prioritizing and even asking other countries in the Gulf to produce more oil. And at the same time, also encouraging conversations with Algeria, Niger, and Nigeria to have the Trans-Saharan pipeline as an alternative to Europe. So at what point do we say that climate change is taking priority? So that is the conversation that needs to be happening. But as it sits now, the perspectives are two. One is that national interests influence agendas that are taking place in the national and also international space, and also that is dictated by domestic priorities. So no country is going to waylay or put aside their domestic interests to be able to pursue, but there's need to collaborate and appreciate that there are distinctions of differences and priorities, and how do we go forward to find a common ground.
But that is the conversation, though.
Yes.
That there is a lot of influence that is being placed on nations in the geographic global south.
True.
Are being asked to reduce on the impact of their imprint on the climate. That is, they're actually being asked to do that. And I feel that it's clear what the clamour is coming from the South again, saying that, well, this is great, but you've had an opportunity to develop, as the ones who are asking us now. And even as we speak, your industries continue to contribute the majority in terms of percentage of degradation. So when we come together for these conferences that we're going to see in rapid succession, over the next few months, over the next few weeks. President Ruto said a couple of weeks ago as well you know what? We're having a lot of these meetings, we're having conversations, but we're not doing anything. It's about time to start doing. So even as these conversations are taking place today, taking place tomorrow, is there now a look around what our needs are in terms of development and how they can work in congruence with protecting the climate and the environment? Shouldn't that be where the conversation should be, not necessarily pandering to the whims of the global north?
And that is the conversation or the direction that we at the Global Center are trying to direct the climate change conversation. That first of all, climate change has a more broader impact than even development itself. Actually, it's cross-cutting across every aspect of life. That is the first conversation. And then second conversation is, what are the areas of synergy or congress that, as the East African community, what are the points of commonalities that we can put our heads together and say that this is what needs to be done. So that is the conversation that we are expecting today and tomorrow, especially from the representative of the conference that we're having, from different countries in the East and Central Africa, to be able to get perspectives, as you said, with regards to what needs to be our priority in the global south, especially East and Central Africa, and secondly, what can be done, and thirdly, as people go and plan for the African Climate Summit and later for the COP28, what should be the agenda that needs to be pushed together as a continent. So the idea is that what we are doing at GLOSEPS and what is it will feed into the African Climate Summit, which is supposed also to feed into the COP28 summit. So that is the whole idea around it.
So as I get it, this is like a regional conversation.
Yes, it is.
Bringing together countries around the Horn, around East Africa, around Central Africa. And then thereafter, we'll have the Africa conversation. This is expected to feed into the Africa conversation next month. And the Africa conversation then feeds into the global conversation. Have we had before conversations at regional level on climate that are led by the region, not hosted by the region, but being conducted by people from outside the region?
Yes, those have been there. And even when you look at the African Climate Summit, there are those conversations that people are having that is this really an African conversation, or there are other forces behind it? So for the Global Center for Policy and Strategy, we are trying to make it more indigenous. Like, what can we as residents or citizens and experts in the East and Central African region bring to the table with regards to creating a platform for this discussion from indigenous folks, from indigenous institutions, and also from government and non-government agencies, so that at the end of the day, the conversation and the policies, that conversation that we're having, are informed and directed by the priorities which are happening in the East African space. So that is the whole perspective that you are looking at, that instead of waiting for support from other countries, what can we do? What are the challenges that we have? What are the solutions that we can propose? And what can we do together and individually?
You know, I'm always perplexed about just the amount of talk that we have around this same subject. Because we have a conference, we talk, we meet. No, we don't. Those who have a conference talk, meet, and come up with the resolutions, and wait for the next conference when they'll meet, talk again, come up with resolutions. The people whom climate change affects and how it is they understand this concept and its ramifications, whatever it is that exists is presented on their behalf. In these conferences that people have, how often are these indigenous people's voices heard? Meaning, you have this community that comes from this particular place, maybe a semi-arid place, a community that has understood this message of climate change and have done something to mitigate against it because they have understood what needs to be done. How often are these voices heard? But more importantly, how often are the decisions, the declarations, the determinations that are made at these conferences implemented so that the people who actually live their lives on a daily basis within these so-called ecosystems where climate change is wreaking havoc. How many, year in, year out, how many situations, how many places, how many geographical areas can you point to and say that these people have understood this message and they are taking the right steps to mitigate against it or to ensure that this doesn't happen? Because if you're talking about mitigation, it is not difficult to communicate.
Yes.
It's also not difficult for people to understand. And it's something that can be done. How much of it is actually done?
So for us, our perspective,
Yes.
With regards to this conference, those are the conversations that we are trying to bring on board. One of the key presentations that we are having is actually from an individual indigenous population. We're having a lady who is from Makueni, who will be doing a presentation about her experiences and also what she's doing to be able to mitigate climate change, especially in her agricultural field. And also she's having the position of a village advisor on agricultural resilience against climate change. So those are the experiences that we are looking forward to having in this conversation, so that at the end of the day, it's not only experts who are giving the opinions of people in government, but at the same time, having people in the communities giving the experience. Secondly, there is also invitation on presentation from practitioners in the Kenyan space. For example, for tomorrow, we'll be having a session with representation from Basigo, the institution that is leading the mobility of green public transport, to be able to get their perspectives of what is actually happening on the ground, what are the challenges that they are experiencing, and what are the opportunities that need to be explored, so that at the end of the day, it's not only an academic or an intellectual exercise. At the end of the day, it's also supposed to be practical, so that it's be able to inform action in the ground without really theorizing so much.
City, hold on. Let's take a break. We'll continue the conversation shortly. 27 minutes to 8. Michael Owor is the head of development and the head of the development pillar at the Global Center for Policy and Strategy, and is also chair of the conference that's taking place in Nairobi ahead of the Africa Climate talks that will be taking place also in Nairobi next month. Kenya's biggest conversation, reminding you about holiday season. Holidays coming to an end.
Yeah, imagine. So now, if you've not been watching your favorite cartoons, you have a few more days to do that. I know City's been on the money, but look, you have a few more days to do that, and then get connected essentially to Go TV, right? So every day is a fun-filled day for kids of all ages. Have your child get entertained and grow their imagination with different shows. Monday to Friday, you can enjoy Garbage Boy every day at 5:45 p.m. and that's on channel 89 on GoTV Max, or 6:55 p.m. enjoy Zig with Shako and Zig, and that's on channel 90 on GoTV Super, right? So download the My GoTV app, dial *423# and get connected to fun. Few days left in the holiday, but who says you have to just be on holiday to do this? Into the holidays and out of the holidays with GoTV.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. It is very, very skewed.
We just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry. Hapo.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, hawa watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Sunny conditions in Nairobi this morning at 15, highs of 25 and lows of 13. And at 14, it is sunny in Nakuru, highs of 26 and lows of 13. It's sunny in Nyeri at 14, highs of 24 and lows of 13. And it'll go to highs of 25 in a sunny Eldoret at 14 with lows of 13. It's 24 and mostly sunny in Mombasa, highs of 29. And Malindi will be sunny through today, 25 currently, going to highs of 30 and lows of 24. It's sunny in Kisumu at 20, highs of 31, and we'll see highs of 30 in a mostly sunny Kakamega at 18. It's 19 and sunny in Kampala, highs of 29 and lows of 18, and at 25, Dar es Salaam is sunny, highs of 28 and lows of 23. It's clear at 12 in Johannesburg, highs of 27 and lows of 11, and Lagos is partly cloudy at 25, highs of 30, and we'll see highs of 32 in a mostly cloudy Kinshasa at 22.
Spice up your life.
All right, so looking at some traffic coming in on the Eastern Bypass, that looks like the most of it this morning, as well as little bits and bobs of traffic on the Thika Superhighway coming in all the way from Githurai out towards the Pangani Underpass. Still continues to be pretty busy. Now is when we see movement coming off the Northern Bypass, touching on Ruaka Road and as well as Kitisuru coming in towards Limuru Road this morning. So that's all going to look pretty busy for now. Jogo Road still continues with busyness. As you get then onto Landis, it's chock-a-blocked all the way through towards the Kamkunji roundabout. All right, that continues this morning. Let's know what's going on where you are. How about we talk on Spice FM KE on Twitter and keep things moving this morning.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
This conversation hosting Michael Award from the Global Center for Policy and Strategy that's hosting the second annual conference Shaping the Future of Climate Change Action Plans, bringing people from around the region. And you said these are practitioners, academia, policy from around the region to discuss climate change and the impact on development. City.
You know, the discussions are all good and well. How long have we been having these discussions on climate change, really?
Oh, I mean, COP is at 28 this year, no?
And if we were to just take a casual look at the progress that we've made, in terms of awareness, people are now far more aware than they were before. People understand. But the thing that I find interesting is why it is, when we have these conferences, we seem to think that the solution lies in the West, that they must be the ones who lead the charge. Yes, I've heard what the President Ruto said, I've heard what other African presidents have said, but I'm more interested in what they're doing, not what they have said. Because in each and every of those governments, they have ministries whose functions relate directly to climate change, whether it's agriculture, whether it's environment, whether it is wildlife, whatever the case may be. But more importantly, if there isn't a plan to ensure that the consumers of all these things, who are the citizenry, are in tandem with it, part and parcel. Case in point, let me look at, say, wildlife conservation in Kenya. Do we have a situation where we can proudly say that every effort that is known to mankind is being made to ensure that individuals who live and who neighbor wildlife have understood the need for them to participate in conserving wildlife, and that they are doing so effectively. Because if that was the case, then why is it that we keep seeing the numbers of our wildlife reducing significantly? There's always a talk of some species increasing. Why, for instance, then do we not see enough efforts being made to reclaim land in some parts of the country which are semi-arid, which were not always semi-arid, but over time, the story is the desert has encroached more and more and more.
Because of human activity.
Exactly, and that our arable land is getting less and less and less and less. Now, I would say that is something that governments can actually address. Indonesia has a very interesting phenomenon and a very interesting problem. In Jakarta, it's a sinking city. The boreholes that you speak of, they dug them. That city is sinking at the rate of 11 to 12 centimeters per year. Sinking. As in, and they're now trying to figure out how best to solve this problem. Now, we learn from others, undoubtedly. There are many situations that we haven't gotten to, but we can see what will happen if we do certain things. Now, from a Kenyan perspective, what is it that we are doing? I know what we've done, especially with renewable energy. I'm very aware we're a leader. But what else have we done that we can look at and say that we don't need to be lectured by the West about this matter of climate change? We are way ahead of the curve, and we know exactly what we're doing, and our people have embraced the idea.
So those are very insightful ideas from City. What we are seeing, and that is the conversation that we're trying to encourage, is that even when we're looking at the challenges that is happening in the communities, for example, wildlife, it's a whole interconnected system. What keeps appearing on, for example, on the news is, for example, that there is human-wildlife conflicts, and all of them are over resources. What appreciation we are also trying to bring on board is that there is a whole other factor that is in play, which is criminal in nature. For example, we may see maybe animals or elephants being the task going in servo. Maybe because they're encroaching somebody's place or something else. But when you start now looking at these incidents, quote unquote, you find that there are other players who are involved in this business who the climate change agenda is just like a cover-up for them. And those are the conversations that we are trying to bring into light, that this is not, for example, limited to animal and wildlife conflict and human conflicts. It's also a transnational organized crime in nature. It's a syndicate by itself. So those are the appreciations that we need to have and bring on board. Secondly, the other issue that we're also trying to have conversations on is what are the bringing to fore, what are the practical interventions that communities are putting themselves without really the interventions of government with regards to climate change. So when you look at the Kenyan ecosystem, there is a rising case of individuals and even communities transitioning from what we have as the normal LPG gases to methane, because as Kenya we are more or less an agricultural economy, especially in the rural areas, and our resources, firewood and the rest, are being depleted. So what are the alternatives that are there that are being put in place to be able to address this? So it's the talk is happening, but even at the conference we'll try to bring or create that space where individuals and communities with practical intervention and practical solutions can be given the space to go and say that, hey, this is what we are doing, and this is what even other communities that facing the challenge that we are having can do the same with or without the intervention of government. So that is the broad nature of conversation that we like to encourage.
But then beyond that, because even as we look at Kenya hosting the Africa Climate Talks, Kenya taking a leading role in the global climate talks, are we looking backwards and seeing what the government is putting in place to support those interventions by local communities? When you talk about, for example, more and more communities going methane route and saying we have cattle, we can actually just do biogas, we can get this kind of solutions for ourselves. What is it that the government needs to do to encourage and support these local communities? If you look at the past dry spell and how it left so many trees that had just been logged because people wanted to go into firewood or whatever, what is it that is being done to encourage the planting of more trees beyond the talk of, we have a target of X number of trees by X years? What exactly, in terms of practical policy and programs, are governments doing to help communities adapt to climate change?
There are two aspects to this. One is the creation of the enabling environment to enable individuals and even organizations that want to undertake climate change interventions to do that by their own sake. And government should be able to facilitate that. For example, and this is what comes in mind. For example, if you have individuals who want to transition from the Kenya Power main grid to their own solar power, there is conversation that transition needs to be encouraged rather than impeded. What we are hearing from communities and also practitioners is that there is impediment, either intentional or not intentional, which government puts forward in its efforts to raise finances. For example, because these are easy for government, these are easy targets for collection of revenue. Most of the technologies, for example, solar technology, is import, and because it's easier to tax that, you find that those interventions or those solutions are taxed and become expensive. So it even inhibits that transition. So the conversation that is happening is that instead of government putting retrogressive action or policy, government should be on the forefront to enable that transition by making these solutions available and even affordable.
So is the government doing that? Are governments of the countries that you've invited for this conference doing that?
I will not be in a position to speak on their behalf.
Not on their behalf.
Yes.
From an observation point.
From the observation point, it's a big mixed bag of there are current countries which would say, quote unquote, they are doing it, or experiences will say, oh, this is what we are doing, especially when the big picture is presented. But when you go into a community, the communities and individuals paint a different picture, say that these are the challenges that we are facing in terms of access, in terms of transition or to these technologies. So it's a mixed conversation, and that is why it is important to have those conversations where each and every actor on board is there, and the community says that this is what happened, and then government brings their point across, so that there is congruence, that the differences in experiences can be harmonized for a common way to be set and pursued.
See, that's what I'm pushing. If you look at so Kenya, we pride ourselves in what percentage of our grid is green? Is it
90%?
Right. All that is green because of the sources that we have.
Yes.
There's hydro, there's wind, there's solar, and then there's the Naivasha. It's geothermal, right? We have Africa's largest wind power farm.
Yes.
Up there in the north. In Kajiado, in Kipeto, we have another large wind power farm that's coming up. But then all these technologies are not local. They're expensive imported technologies. When you talk about harvesting our geothermal, it's expensive imported technology. Solar, expensive imported technology. So what is it that government of Kenya should do to encourage more and more of development of our own technology, so that we can go into, even when we go into 100% green, we are 100% in control of our technology.
I would say,
or at least, to a large extent in control of our technology.
I would say there are aspects which are valid. For example, most of the technology that we have in place are imported, and that is correct. Whether it's wind, whether it's solar, that is correct. There's also the situation where the technology themselves are supposed to reduce the cost of electricity or the cost of energy, which is an issue currently being debated of why some energy sources are cheaper than others, and why others are being inflated as it were. So those are also conversations that needs to take place. With regards to indigenous technologies, I think at this particular point in time is that there is need to encourage the local innovators or local innovations, so that at the end of the day, we have technology which we can pride on and we can control to be able to advance the conversation or even adoption of climate resilient solutions for Kenya and East and Central Africa.
You know, if you look at what once upon a time were emerging economies, and right now they're actually very strong economies. You can think of India, you can think of South Korea, what they call the Asian tigers. The thing that got them to the position that they're at, they didn't necessarily invent the wheel, but they understood what the West had done. They simply improved on it and made sure that it served their purposes and met their needs as the needs were. Now, when we see these countries producing, say, their own cars, you find the Indians producing their own cars, you find the South Koreans producing their own cars. The truth of the matter is that it's proprietary technology, yes, but that technology has been in existence for a long time, from the times of Gottlieb and Daimler. But it's a question of improving on it. So even with us, I do not see in our universities, I do not see within the government plan, I hear talk about this hub and the other hub, an innovation hub, an ideas hub. I hear all that, ICT hub. But out of these hubs, they ought to have come some technology, some proprietary, that we can say, you know, this is what we've worked on. Not that we invented it. Something came to us, but we've worked on it so that it actually now suits our purposes and it works for us well. Now, same thing with climate change. When you explain to a local mwananchi about climate change and why it's imperative now, with the county system, you see, urban drift, the movement of people from the rural areas to the urban areas, used to be major towns within the provinces. Now it's everywhere. So people are moving towards town. Now, there is something that is definitely happening when you consider that we have a population that just keeps shooting up. This pressure on land will increase. This conflict, it's not just with animals, with the environment, will increase. So now, unless a conversation is had so that we don't wait for it to explode before we start saying, what were those solutions we thought we might? Meaning, you manage it before we actually get there. It's a conversation that we are the ones who must have. We cannot wait for someone to rapporteur this for us.
That is correct. And I'd like to borrow for a conversation that took place in this space about the challenges that the private sector and even innovators in Kenya face when they bring on board local manufacturing or local solutions, and that is also unique with regards to the manufacturing and also increase of uptake of technology, whether imported or imported, but made within our landscape. The cost of, for example, setting up the industries that are supposed to be able to roll out, for example, this technology for Kenya. For example, if you're doing solar, or if you are doing, for example, the biogas. Those are technologies that can be done within the Kenyan ecosystem. Actually, the Eastern African ecosystem. But the conversation which becomes more and more clear is that when the private sector, who are leading these initiatives, with in most situations without the direct intervention of government, is that there is blockade. With regards, for example, the number of certifications that need to be had, the number of costs that needs to be sorted beforehand, the issue of, for example, licensing and so on and so forth. So even in that space of encouraging our own capacity, there are conversations that need to happen with government, and say that as we transition, and also as we pride ourselves as having this percentage of energy being clean, we can do more, but at the same time, it's not possible to do that more if there are impediments placed on local actors to uptake solutions.
By the way, there will always be impediment. If you're talking about the commercial space or industrial space, you'll be fought.
Yes.
It's not as though you're going to suddenly invent something and they'll happily
say,
allow
please
you.
come in and,
Like, do you know when solar power first came into being? In the 1960s. Do you know why it has delayed so long before now people can talk about solar power? The early inventions were bought up by all companies because they saw this is direct competition. They knew, they understood it, so they fought it. There's a space that one must live in the realm of reality. None of these things will come easy. Even with government, it's not conversation. They must be pushed. Pushed, literally. If they're not pushed, they'll talk about it, there'll be a plan, you'll even have a ministry. And that'll be it.
But let's be talk. And that's I'm focusing on the governments.
Yes.
Because the governments are the ones who are hosting these climate talks. The governments are the ones who speak at the global climate talks. The leadership of governments talk about all these things. Our government has now taken that front and center role to say, we are championing climate and climate talk. Is there a Marshall Plan in this country that says this is where we are going, this is what we are going to do in the next 15, 20 years to adapt to climate and also mitigate further effects of climate? This is what we are going to do as we push towards 100% green energy. This is what we need to do to make sure that we can then more easily invest in green energy. It's costing us so much money importing technology to get geothermal from the ground. God gave us that thing, it's there. God gave us wind, it's there, but we can't harvest it. Yes. God gave us the sun, it's there, we can't harvest, we have got to import. And we are paying and expatriating so much money as we just tap into this God-given green energy. Is there a plan? A proper plan that says, this is how we shall get there? When China is now leading the globe in 5G, it just didn't happen.
No.
They had a plan and they implemented their plan.
Yes.
And so and this is the thing. Isn't this where the conversations in this neck of the woods should actually be around?
Yes.
Making these technologies that are going to have a twin effect in terms of development domestically, and as well as making sure that on this climate grid that we're all protected. Shouldn't those be the conversations that we're having instead of harping constantly about, well, let there be a fund where we can tap into to do 1, 2, 3, and don't tell us what to do all the time. But here we have an opportunity to develop these things for ourselves. Why don't we do them? Shouldn't that be the kind of conversations that are curated, especially for those countries that live on this side of the pond?
Yes, that is a conversation that should happen, and that is a conversation that we are encouraging to happen at this juncture. When you look at what Eric asked, is there a master plan with regards to climate change? What we have is essentially what we call the national development contribution towards climate change, what we are supposed to do. And when you look at that document, it's supposed to be for 5 years, 2018 to 2022, there's a new one that is supposed to be developed, I think, with regards to COP28. When you look at that document, what we call the master plan that leads government interventions with climate change, it's usually with regards to our economic setup. that this is what we're going to do in agriculture, this is what we're going to do in manufacturing. We are going to encourage clean energy for manufacturing. There's encouragement, for example, to plant trees, the encouragement to do paperless. That is what is contained in the national, the NDC as it were, our contribution towards climate change. And the conversation that we are trying to encourage is to move from there and lead our own solutions and encourage that space for that to happen.
Very good. Michael, thank you very much for joining us. Michael O'War is head of development pillar at the Global Center for Policy and Strategy. Keep it here for more. Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto will today commission the construction of 220 housing units in Bahati constituency in Nakuru County. The project is part of the ambitious plan to build 200 housing units in all constituencies across the country through the Affordable Housing Program. The 220 units will be constructed on a 10-acre piece of land at an estimated cost of 505 million shillings and will include 60 studio units, 21 bedroom units, 122 bedroom units and 23 bedroom units. Other social amenities include a social hall, playing area, commercial area and a tree nursery. The technical committee under the National Dialogue Team is set to harmonize the agenda for the bipartisan talks and to finalize and enumerate the order within which the 10 listed issues for deliberation will be handled. The revelations were made following the committee's third meeting, where the members took stock of the progress made so far, including the approval of the motion legally establishing the committee. The ball is now in the Senate after the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, forwarded the motion for concurrence.
The Senate is going to consider the matter Tuesday next week with a view to having it approved.
We have given ourselves a timeline of 60 days, and there are concerns that days are running, but it's good to confirm to the country that those days will start counting when that motion is also formally adopted by the Senate.
This as the committee urged leaders to desist from making comments that threaten the talks, for the assuring Kenyans that the team has clear direction and proper communication channels.
Recognize their rights to the freedom of expression, but whatever other Kenyans say out there will not in any way determine the discourse of the engagements in this room. And we will work ignoring all the other noise.
Communication from this committee shall only emanate from the leadership, that is the delegation leaders and perhaps their deputies and the communications secretaries in the secretariat.
A section of Kenya Kwanza leaders have poured cold water on the talks, asking that they be terminated.
Nothing will come out of these cold talks, but something will come out from this plan that the president has.
We are pleading that as the talks resume, the first agenda should be actually to terminate the talks. Tunasema sasa tuachane na hii mazungumzo. Mazungumzo inatupeleka wapi?
Don't worry when you hear other people shouting in village rallies, purporting to speak either for Azimio or for Kenya Kwanza on these issues. Communication on this dialogue process will come as has been indicated by the leader.
The ODM and DAP-K parties in Trans Nzoia County may suffer after the leaders in the region announced that they will decamp to Ford Kenya Party. Former ODM chairperson in the area, Ednah Masinda, says discussions between the ODM and Ford Kenya members will see the leaders shift allegiance.
Tumekuwa na vikao vingi pamoja na wazee. Tumeenda kwa kaburi la mzee hayati Masinde Mriro kule Cherengani last weekend kuomba moyo huo, paraka hizo, uotari huo nirudi kwa chama cha Ford Kenya kama mwandishi Simba kamili. Nitakuja na wafuazi wote wale wako kwa chama cha ODM, chama cha DAP, na tumeweka mipango tuifanyie marekebisho nyumba yetu mahali ilikuwa imepomoka kwa zile matatizo ndogo ndogo ziko ndani ya hiyo nyumba, na tuhakikishe nyumba imerudi kuliko vile ilivyokuwa muda wote.
Ednah pointed out that the goal is to strengthen the Luhya community.
Bado safari ni
Apologies for that. Now 5 people were injured in Eldoret after two rival groups clashed following a fierce and long tussle involving veteran athletics legend Kipchoge Keino. Police lobbed tear gas canisters and shot in the air to disperse and a charged crowd that was barring the demolition of structures sitting on part of the disputed 150-acre piece of land embroiled in the tussle between Kipkorom Kemboi family and Kipchoge Keino. The tussle comes fresh on the heels of an order issued by an Eldoret court staying a proceeding ruling issued in July that granted the Kipkorom family ownership of the disputed piece.
Ninakuomba kabisa William Ruto, kuja utusaidie, tunaumia, tunakanyagwa na polisi. Ninaomba rais kanyaga hapa, Kashagwa kanyaga hapa, tujue ukweli penye iko.
Tumefanya kesi July this year, tena tumeshinda kesi tena, tumekuja kwa shamba, tumekuja na land registrar, tumekuja na county surveyor, tumekuja na police, wakuja tukapima shamba, tukaweka perimeters, kila mtu amekaa side yake.
Sisi hivi ukituona, sisi ni watoto yatima, tunapewa order ya hii shamba, kesho order nyingine inafika, tunapewa order kesho tumeshinda, order nyingine inafika, tutaishi kama order mpaka lini?
This is News. I'm Dennis Anseta. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
All right, it's probably the most of it for the morning that we'll see at a few minutes after 8 o'clock. There's traffic on Lunga Lunga. It's heavy as you then trying to get on towards Likoni at the interchange and then onto the southern bypass. That still continues. On the eastern bypass as well, we're seeing some outbound and inbound traffic and looks pretty heavy from all we can see now. Kangunda Road is busy. We're looking at the same thing coming onto Juja Road. And at the Pangani underpass, traffic has stretched out quite some. It's heavy as you're going into the city. And who's this? This is Limuru Road. It's heavy also touching on Wangari Maathai. Everybody trying to squeeze through, getting towards Westlands or the CBD. We're also looking at traffic before your Outer Ring Junction on the Thika Superhighway, and that's bumper to bumper coming in from Githurai. It's heavy on Limuru Road, well ahead there coming in from Ruaka, and Red Hill Link Road also has some traffic. Usually is your escape route. For today, there's traffic there. Ruaka Road also then leading towards Limuru Road is very busy right about now. We're in traffic hour. Let's see what happens shortly. Let's talk on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for harder in people power. And Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
We are
the
still
only way to start
our
your
birthday. It's 4 years since we first went on air on the, what date was it?
On the 20th of August.
Yes.
19th of August, actually.
19th of August?
Yes.
What day was it?
It was a Tuesday.
It was?
Yes, it was.
What did you do on the Monday?
What? I don't know. We're all standing somewhere here.
We're just hanging around.
Here.
And then it's that tomorrow. Let's do this thing tomorrow. Today, nah. Let's do on the 19th. It's better. Okay. So on the 19th of August, 2019. That's why.
That's why.
Yes. Just to coincide 1919. Yes. We went on air and this was the Situation Room going on air, and Spice FM then now officially going on air live. Since then, 4 years down the road, and we've been here every weekday morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And we thank everybody who's been supporting us, everybody who meets us on the road and says, "You're the guy, aren't you? You're the lady, aren't you?" There's a gentleman in Eldoret the other day, on Saturday, who approached me. "You're City Muga."
Did you say yes?
And I said, "Huh? You're City Muga?" I said, "No, City Muga is much older than me." No, has anyone ever told you that you look like City Muga?
You know how they say when you live in the same house, you start to look alike. That's it.
So I just said, okay. Yeah. So
if you insist.
If you insist, I am City Muga.
So be it.
So be it. Ni sawa. Ni wewe umesema. Ni sawa, nimekubali. Well, thank you very much, everybody. We are commemorating 4 years of Spice FM being on air. This weekend, our sister station, Radio Maisha, is hosting Choma na Ngoma out of Nairobi for the first time. This time it's going to
Nakuru.
Nyeri.
And you ask, Choma ni ngoma, na ngoma ni nini? It's Kenya's, Standard Group's premier music concert under the Radio Maisha brand. And we're saying, you know what? Let's come together for a night of food, music and partying, celebrating some of Kenya's best in the music industry. Calligraph, Otile Brown, Niviri, Benso, Nadia Mukami, Saru, and Citi's now favorite, Father Moore. All will be in Nakuru on the 26th of August at the Rift Valley Sports Club. It's only 800 bob.
Only 800 bob.
Just come out and imagine all of this ngoma na choma.
In a Choma Nakuru.
Exactly.
At the Rift Valley Sports Club. Everybody in that neighborhood will be hearing the sounds. I hope they'll not be saying Igwa Goma. This Saturday as well, go to Popo Road. This is Bellevue, South Sea, and visit Automark. Automark are the sellers of the best pre-owned motor vehicles anywhere in East Africa. It's a subsidiary of CFAO Motors, formerly known as Toyota Kenya and other companies. And this Automark was formerly known as Toyotsu. Still where Toyotsu used to be, they are there. Go there, go find very good vehicles. And also you can take your current vehicle for some checks. They have very, very good workshop there. Their mechanics are well trained. They will do some checks for you and tell you, this car, good to go, or this car, we can improve. Now, when you talk about TVET, Ndu, what does TVET stand for?
There's vocational,
yes,
technical,
yes,
there's education,
yes, and there's training.
Yes.
Okay. In the correct order, it's technical, vocational, education, and training.
Yes.
Okay. The principal secretary in the State Department for Technical, Vocational, Education, and Training is Dr. Esther Dara Moria. She's our guest this morning in the Situation Room. Good morning, PS.
Good morning, Eric.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you.
That's the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Mhm.
Make yourself comfortable. Very good. Very good. CT, the PS is now comfortable. Please give her the day's proverb. This week's proverbs are from?
Our proverbs for the whole of this week are from the country of Burkina Faso.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. We determined that, or rather I determined on behalf of my colleagues that the next few weeks our proverbs will be from West Africa. What caught my attention about West Africa is they seem to have revived a culture that we thought we were moving out of, coup d'etats. And so I thought perhaps if we look at their proverbs, we may get to understand a little bit about how it is that they think. Today's proverb: even if you do not like the hare, recognize its speed.
PS, do you get which hair he's talking about?
The rabbit.
Yeah, the bus. 10 out of 10.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Even if you don't recognize, you don't
Like the rabbit, recognize its
the speed.
Yes.
What do you think this proverb is talking about?
I think that there is something good about every body and every situation. You may not like the fact that I am black, but recognize the fact that I am still beautiful.
Apo.
Or it can be the other way around.
Yes.
You may not like the fact that I'm beautiful. But recognize the fact that I'm black.
Well, turn it around the way you like.
That's a good one. That's a good one. You like it, eh? The State Department for TVET. What is your mandate?
Thank you very much, Eric and Ndu, for having me here this morning.
And CT.
And CT, the proverbs guy.
Yes.
Sorry.
The PS was my day. I knew you were getting there.
It's coming slowly.
Pole too. Right. You first introduce these lesser beings, then
before we get to the main guy.
Yes.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a mandate being at the top of TVET now, and my mandate is to skill the youth. In this country, and as we get to the next level of development, we need the skills. We need to skill our youth so that we leverage on that skill as we go from the bottom to the top. And we are going there under the tutorage of His Excellency President Ruto, and we need the skills. That's my mandate. Yes.
When we talk about TVET, please define it. You know, there's the technical vocational education and training that's at national level. And then there's what formerly used to be called rural polytechnic, which of course has a different name now. So what are TVETs? What are universities? What are the other polytechnics?
TVETs basically are all those what you are calling the polytechnics, what you are calling them. You are just levelizing them. But TVETs is where we are to train the skills, like I've already said. So we are in the technical space where we are saying we want the young people to acquire skills, to acquire the technical training. And when we talk vocational, we are talking about those other skills still, but which we may teach or we may acquire at a lower level. All right, vocational, where we are talking about the plumbers, the lower skills. All right, before they climb up to other levels of more complicated skilling of the youth. You know, Eric, we do not all have the same abilities.
Yep.
So there are those who will go for the lesser skills, which we are talking the vocational training, and there are those who will go all the way to the diploma and the degree levels, which we may now call the technical skills. But whether at the vocational or at the top level 6, which is a diploma, we are talking about skills. We are talking about training our youth to be able to do, and that is what my mandate is.
How many students are in TVETs as we speak today?
Right now, we could average them at 350,000. And more coming. Yes.
Okay. I'm looking at then what happens after this training, and maybe that is what then fuels this current action. That there is a small or a lesser percentage of skilled workers in the society, and the need to then have these workers across board skilled then outweighs the numbers that we see. Because when you look at things like somebody who paints, and I'm not talking about artistic paint, I'm talking about painting buildings, nobody would think that there was a science to it. Nobody would think that there was a science to masonry or plumbing or dressmaking or these other things. But we kind of gloss over them because we don't see the importance of actually skilling individuals to enter into the workforce. If we look at other countries, those things are highly regarded, and you will pay a lot of money to get somebody to do that thing for you. So are we looking at making sure that this group of individuals who go through this technical and or vocational training actually come out so that they can enter into a workforce that actually requires them to be properly skilled and not just your learn on the job kind of thing?
Yes, Ndu. That is what we are looking at. When I have come into this space, my first assignment has been to recraft the curricula so that the curricula is it. The curricula is what is going to ensure that the person graduating at the end of the day is a person who is so well grounded on what they are doing, that they are good locally, regionally, and internationally. So we are now on the first lane, recrafting the curricula, and we are also recrafting and retooling our trainers. Those are my first 2 jobs that I am working on getting done, because we want a person to get into a space where we have organized what they are going to go through so well that they will go through it stage by stage, where we are saying, for instance, this is one of my favorites, so I have talked about it so many times. If we are talking about training people at level 6 in building and civil engineering, we have split the curricula, or we are splitting the curricula because we still haven't finished, so that we start you in training, for example, in gypsum technology. And we keep you there according to our new curricula to a time that we are confident that even if you just did gypsum technology and went away, you are so good either in this country or elsewhere. Then we will take you to another area of building, civil and building technology, and another, so that we can even graduate you at a micro level where you'll have done maybe 3 competencies. And that means that you are well competent in that area. And another thing we are doing, ladies and gentlemen, is that we are bringing in industry into our institutions. So we are forming what we are calling industry advisory boards. All right, so that even as we craft this curricula, we are asking the industry, how can we do this? How best can we do this? All right, so that we will be sure at the end of the day that when we train you, whether I said at a micro level where you can do 3 competencies and maybe graduate, or at a medium level where you can do many more, or at the top level where we are talking now about level 6, okay, that is diploma. All right, so we are changing the curricula so that we craft you at every level. We make sure you are competent at every level. And again, we are retooling our trainers. We are retraining our trainers with industry, so that this industry is also able to tell us this is what is happening in industry as far as this competency is concerned. So that at the end of the day, we have a person who is very well crafted.
This indicates that you've identified a gap.
Yes.
A gap in the trainers versus what the industry needs.
Yes.
The trainers versus what they are training, and the curriculum as well versus what the industry needs. Why was there a gap?
Eric, issues will always be there. There was a gap because when the Tibet curriculum was first crafted, it needed, curricula changes.
Yep.
Curriculum changes from time to time. So there was a gap because this curricula had not been redone. Curricula is supposed to be, where I come from, the university, we used to redo the curricula after every 4-5 years. All right. So the gap here is that the curricula had not been revised.
In how long?
I am not very sure. Let me not commit myself to that. But whatever the time frame, what I recognized is that we needed to redo this curricula to the extent that we are especially able to train every trainee into a competent person, much more than even the period that the curricula had been there. What my interest is that we redo this curricula in such a way that we are able to skill each and everyone to the best that we can be able to do.
Which unit is responsible for curricular development at TVET level?
CDAC. We have what we call curriculum development, assessment, and certification council.
Okay.
That is our curriculum development body, and it is also going to assess and certify my students.
I'm pushing this so that we get to a point where we say, now that Dr. Moria has come in and said, let's review our curriculum, there will be a plan that even if you exit this State Department, there will be periodic reviews of our curricula, periodic retraining of the trainers.
Absolutely.
And if we don't look at what made it not happen, then what are we fixing?
We are fixing CDAC. We have fixed CDAC. CDAC is back in place. The coming back of CDAC is a presidential directive, as well as the recommendation of the Presidential Working Party on education reforms. And what they have recommended, as well as, this TVET is basically the president's baby. And he, even before the Presidential Working Party finished its work, the president had already put out the directive that CDAC must come back as the curriculum development body, assessment and certification, so that body, like all bodies like NEC, like all these other examination bodies, is properly put in place, so that it is, like you have said, Eric, it's not the time frame of Esther Moria or Eric or Ndu. It is about continuity. So we have put CDAC in place. There is a CEO in place now. There is the council in place now, and we are doing everything else to ensure that CDAC is probably in place for posterity.
Dr. Morio, talk about some of the recommendations of the proposals by the Presidential Working Party. They were very broad on TVET, but one thing that they did say very clearly was that there would be linkages between TVET, industry and government projects. Essentially that we're making sure that these folks are trained, looking at the 350,000 of them, for example. So put that on one side. And then there are certain things that are going on in government, in industry. There are projects, there are things all over the country, from county to county to county, that in a lot of cases will bring in foreign consultants. They will bring in foreign practitioners. They will bring in foreign companies to do the brick and mortar. Essentially what we're saying now is that these TVETs will train individuals to then come into the industry for the current need of government and to actually get those projects running. So essentially what we're seeing is that the bringing in of foreign work, the bringing in of companies from other countries will cease, because Kenya will now have a skilled workforce that will be able to do some of these development projects that the government is putting into place. That was one of the proposals. Would the department be ready to carry that on?
We are doing that, Ndu, unequivocally. We have the CAIPS, that is the county aggregated industrial parks. We have the affordable housing projects, and we have all these infrastructural development projects that the government is undertaking. What we have agreed, or what we are doing, is that we are linking our TVET institutions to the nearest affordable housing project somewhere. For example, the affordable housing project in Roiro, we are linking them, or we have linked them to our institution in Gatondo, to our institution in Thika, so that our students are able to be the working on those projects, so that that project is part of the industry where they are training. That we have done. And we are also going to do that with CAIPS, all right? Right now, on Monday, I think Monday or Friday, there was an advert on the paper about a huge government road project that is happening along the coast. And what the Ministry of Roads has done, actually I was supposed to have this conversation yesterday with the PS Roads, only he got too busy, is that they have advertised for our students to apply for the opportunities in that project, okay? But whether they apply or not, and this is the conversation I am going to have with the PS, our institutions at the coast we are going to have an agreement where our students will be on that project, that infrastructure. They're doing a big road project. I'm forgetting it's from, I don't know where to where, but it's a huge one. And our students are going to be there, so that also forms part of the industry where they are going to train. Because what I must tell you with no iota of divergence is that we want to have our students training 70% in industry, 70%. So that only 30% they are in our institutions doing some theory, but 70% they need to be in industry. So all these CAIPS, affordable housing, infrastructure, the huge road projects that we're going to do, our students are going to be there. Not just our students, but all these hustlers, all these young people, they are going to be on these projects, and we are coming in as a department with what we call the RPL, recognition of prior learning. All right? So that my trainers will be on site to keep checking what these people are doing, and we are going to have master trainers on the projects, so that if it is masonry for the affordable housing, there is a master trainer checking what the others are doing and taking note, so that at the end of the day, we are able to certify this person before they leave the site. And they can now go with that certificate and be able to acquire better placement elsewhere, because now we have certified them on this site.
This recognition of prior learning,
yes,
would that be from a previous institution, or could it have been from an apprenticeship? Where would this prior learning, where would it be recognized?
We are coming in as a department who are the experts to check what you are doing. All right?
Mm-hmm.
We check the kind of masonry you are doing, and because we have, so it is us, we are the assessors. Yes.
As SIDAC?
As trainers.
Okay.
But ultimately they will be certified by SIDAC, because SIDAC corrects the information. I will remember the technical word for it.
Yeah.
They collect they correct the information, all right, and are able to collate it to be able to certify
So
it.
they check the competence of somebody, their skill and all.
Yes.
And then they're able now to rate it as well.
Yes.
And know what level we give it to you.
Yes.
Or do all RPL earners get to the same grade?
No. It depends on your competency. We are not only doing RPL, Eric, on these projects, but even Juakali. You know, Juakali people, they are very good. They are the people who make our cars.
Yeah.
And you do not even ask them, where did you go to school or what certificate do you have? You just leave their cars with them, you pick it in the evening, isn't it? So we if they come, these ones, we are inviting them. If you want a certificate, come. And we are able to check what you are doing. We'll even give you a whole car. If you go to our institution here at NTTI, there is absolute automotive garages there where our students learn. So we will take you there, and we will give you a car that is...
That is not a car.
That is not a car.
Yes.
And we ask you to make it a car. And dependent on what we observe or what we see that you are doing, we will decide the level. And at SIDAC, we have very good assessors who are well trained to be able to look at what you are doing over some time, not just a day, because we also don't want you to give fake certificates. So we will give you time to be able to assess you, at the end of the day, certify you at the level that we know or realize that
This is your competence.
This is your competency.
Let's take a break. 28 minutes to 9. The Situation Room is hosting Dr. Esther Thara Moria. She is the Principal Secretary in the State Department for Technical Vocational Education and Training in the Ministry of Education. We are talking about TVETs and what the TVETs are supposed to do, and we'll also get into admission into TVETs and a new funding model for TVETs. Ndu?
Yes.
Holiday season coming to an end.
Yes, unfortunately, I know. Kids are going back to school next week, so there's still time to catch up on your favorite viewing from DSTV. It's getting into holidays, and you know what that means. With the August holiday, parents, guardians, children, everybody can get into it. And DSTV says, never stop thinking, never stop imagining. And how can you see what that world offers? Turn on your TV and connect to DSTV and find out all the wonderful shows that are on. It doesn't matter whether it's channel 3 or 5 when you get onto Nickelodeon, or getting onto all the 15 dedicated channels towards kids on DSTV. Star 423 hash, or download my DSTV app and get into it for 2,999 shillings.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If you go out of this country and come back the same person, then you have a problem. Buy land, 1 million. Put it there for 5 years. What's the purpose?
It'll have increased in value.
No, that's the thing. That's darkness. You know, that's an eclipse. You don't do that.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person, or that all hustlers are poor. I've seen that conversation.
Tell us, who is a hustler?
Who is a hustler? Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
Corruption in Kenya is a political accusation. The people who are actually corrupt are not pointed fingers at.
Kenya is not free.
Kenya imeshikwa na mateka, is under siege.
Have you seen that lodge on Nyeri Road? Very high fence, you can't even
Windows
sleep inside.
up near the ceiling.
Yes.
And if you walk there at midnight, you see bats the size of cows.
And when it rains, it doesn't rain on that building.
Yes.
When you're at All Saints and it's raining, it doesn't rain on that building.
The things people will believe.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Partly cloudy conditions this morning in Nairobi, highs of 25 and lows of 12. We'll see highs of 27 in a sunny Nakuru at 17. It's sunny at 15 in Nyeri, highs of 25, and 25 will also be the high in a sunny Eldoret at 17. It's 26 and sunny in Mombasa, highs of 30, and we'll see highs of 30 in a sunny Malindi at 27. It's 23 and sunny in Kisumu, highs of 32, and highs of 30 will be in Kakamega, where it's sunny at 23. It's sunny at 22 in Kampala, highs of 29, and Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, we'll see highs of 28, where it's sunny at 26. It's 16 and sunny in Johannesburg, highs of 27, and lows of 11. Lagos is partly cloudy at 25, highs of 30, and we'll see highs of 32. In a mostly cloudy Kinshasa at 22.
Love Spice FM because of one, the music.
The playlist is good.
Spice.
You play the best music.
More of the classics and the hits you love. We are Spice.
Traffic, looking into the northern part of the city. Let's also look then onto Limuru Road, which is very busy today. All of a sudden, it's bumper to bumper, through and through. Coming in from United Nations Avenue as well, Ruaka, Northern Bypass, all of this doing the business in that part of the city. Red Hill. Still pretty busy right about now. Into the CBD is not too bad, actually. If you're coming off the Thika Superhighway, we'll see some traffic as you get towards Maranga Road, but you'll be fine. Kiambu Road also not so busy this morning. So, be able to deal with all of it. Let's know what's going on where you are. We'll check back in about half hour, and we'll talk in the meantime on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. And right, 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Continues for the next 24 minutes. The Principal Secretary in the State Department for TVET, Dr. Esther Moria, is our guest. We are talking about TVETs. Dr. Moria, how many TVET institutions do we have in the country?
We have around 1,200 at the TVET level, what you are calling the TVET of the TTIs.
Yes.
All right. And we have a similar number, about 800 of the vocational.
Of vocational?
Yes.
And you're saying the total student population here is 350,000?
Yes.
Thereabouts?
Yes. And we have 11 national polytechnics.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 1,200 TVETs, 800 vocationals, 11 national polytechnics.
Actually, it's the other way around, but it's okay.
So it's 1,200 TTIs.
Yes.
I mean, 800 TTIs,
Yes.
1,200 vocationals.
Yes.
Okay, and 11 national polytechnics.
Yes.
Student population 350,000.
Yes.
You have three state departments in the Ministry of Education.
Yeah.
The State Department for Basic Education that looks at up to Form 4. Okay? And then we have TVET, and we have Higher Education and Research that deals with the universities. The State Department for Basic Education feeds you about a million students every year. You only have a total population of 350,000. Universities are only able to admit about 160,000. Where do the other children go?
Very good question, Eric. And that is our concern as government. The other students go to different places. Of course, after admissions, there are many other pathways, including Juakali. We have a lot of youth in Juakali. But educationally, we want to, let me talk about my department. We want to continue widening this space because, like you have rightly said, we realize we have many more who need to come in. So what we are doing right now is this particular financial year, His Excellency the President has allowed us to build an extra 15 TVET institutions across the counties. And we are also, he's also busy equipping 70 institutions with state-of-the-art equipment for the students to be able to come in and learn. The 15 are out of the 52 that the Kenya Kwanza government wants to come up with, because we want to have a TVET institution in every constituency at a certain level. All right. So we are increasing as a government the space for more students to come in and learn. And other than that, we are also working with a lot of, with quite a number of working partners. For example, we are just about launching another about 15 institutions which are sponsored by African Development Bank. So we are increasing the space so that we can be able to bring in as many of these extra youth you're talking about as possible.
So do you think the main hindrance to post-secondary education is the shortage of institutions?
Yes.
Because we are talking about every year, we are saying more than 500,000 children do not transition from secondary.
Yeah. We need to increase the space. We need to tell every youth that they have an opportunity post-secondary or even post-primary, because that's one level you talked about is a level that admits the post-primary. So we want the message to go out there to the youth that you have an opportunity to go somewhere even after the primary secondary training. So that is why as a government we are busy increasing the space so that they can be able to come in. Because Eric, the space we have right now, some of those institutions you go to, they have a lot of students, they have many students, and yet we want to move to a space where we are training these students practically. You see, so that means that even the many students that are available in some of the institutions will have to be given more space. We have to create more space even for them in those institutions to train. And that is why His Excellency President Ruto is busy equipping the institutions so that even the many that we already have can have the skilled space to be trained into, because I want to insist that what we want to train in our institutions is skills. Yeah. So we want to widen the space where they can come into, as well as equip the same spaces so that they can come in. And we are also doing something interesting in our institutions, Eric. We have also started TVET beautification so that the students can be attracted to our institutions so that they come and learn. We want to remove this notion that TVETs are mahali ya kwenda kwa sababu hujaenda university. No. We want to tell them that these are pragmatic institutions that you come into, are able to be trained, are able to be educated so that you are a pertinent person, whether locally or internationally.
Do you think, also PS, maybe this would be in the plan, that yes, there is the linkage between TVETs and industry and government projects. Yes, there is. But then there's also the wider job market. I think my mind never leaves a conversation we had here a couple of years ago about the Engineers Society, for example, being a little bit upset because they felt as though the certification or what was needed for first-time engineers out of university was not given. They were not happy with what was coming in because the certification, they did not meet the mark. Would the individuals who come out of this training, or let me rephrase that, would the industry, the market itself, then also have conversations with government to say, look, we are training these individuals, they can work in these sectors as well, aside from government projects?
Well, I'm not sure I got that well, but let me put it this way. You what I got at first was that there are those who are even coming out of the universities and they are not well trained.
Yep.
So that the industry has actually been saying that these young people are coming here, and then we have to retrain them to be able to do the job.
Exactly.
We are working with all this space because for the Kenyan market, for the regional market, for that young person we are calling a Kenyan engineer or a Kenyan agriculturist, we want them to be seen to be well competent anywhere across this globe. So we are inviting even university graduates into our space where they can come and get reskilled. I'll give you a practical example. The other day I was in Meru National Polytechnic and I found 6 university students training with our students in gypsum technology. So that's what we are saying is we are hoping, or we are working into bringing our technical institutions to a level where even Eric can now decide during his holidays, he will go to our institutions and get his broadcasting skill upskilled. That's what we are working into. We want to up even the skills of those who are already in industry or working anywhere and feel that there is something else they need to do already in the job market. They can come to our institutions and get recrafted. We are telling the university students they are training at a certain level, all right, and we need it. But we are also telling them those who want to be absolutely hands-on, they are welcome into our institutions, and we are working hard to ensure that our institutions are at such a level that they are the ones who are going to be able to skill anybody across this country to a level that is good.
You know, there's also this supposed clash between TVETs and universities. So some of your national polytechnics became universities. You lost them. You lost Kenya Poly. You lost Mombasa Poly. Now they are universities. All right? The Presidential Working Party on Education Reform has said some of these universities still have TVET teachers teaching university courses. Now they either need to be fired or be skilled to teach there. Are you ready to absorb those ones? Number 2, the Presidential Working Party has also said universities need to stop doing these certificate courses. Let people go. Let those ones be handled in TVETs. What is your view on that? Yes.
Yes, we lost, I think, two top technical space to universities. I am not in a position to really talk about that supposed crash between the university and the TVET space. What I am sure of is what I have already said, Eric, that give us time, give the government of President William Ruto time to be able to recraft the TVET space to what it must be. He has also instructed us to be able to talk to these 2 institutions so that there will be the way path for our diploma students into the universities. That I can speak about. But as to the crash that may exist between us, really, you know, the intelligence that informed these institutions to transform to the institutions, I am not in a position to talk about that. But what I know is that we have an instruction to also prepare these 2 institutions to be the pathway from our institutions, from the TVET to the university. Because we also want to tell the Kenyans that going into TVETs does not stop you from one of these days achieving your level all the way to the university. You can move there. And I know the Technical University of Mombasa and Khartoum are the way paths, even according to the presidents, for the students from the TVETs all the way to the universities. So whatever might have existed here before, that is the way that the government of President William Ruto wants to.
The bygones be bygones.
Let bygones be bygones.
Are you prepared to poach those teachers and tutors?
No. I don't want to poach them. They are doing a good job where they are. What I want to do is to recraft the ones I have to a good level.
But the proposal is that they should come to you or be fired.
I have not had that proposal. Let me not talk about it.
Well, it was...
There's the second proposal.
Yes.
Universities should stop with certificate and diploma courses.
Yes. Let me talk into that. Yes, there is that proposal that that training should come to our level, and we are ready. We are prepared to take that space as they prepare to take the students from our space to their space.
You know, I've never understood that logic myself of universities not being allowed to teach certificate courses. I honestly don't understand it, because where's the value add? What is this thing that they're changing, and to what benefit, for what purpose? I really don't get it at all. Because where is it that it is said that a university must only teach degree courses? Where? The world over, universities teach certificate courses, they teach diploma courses, or that entire chain.
Postgrad or grad?
No, just
come into the university and do a diploma or a certificate.
And leave, yes.
Let me not talk about that.
Well, no, let me talk about it, because it's something I find interesting. You see, I am of this view, and this one you don't have to speak to, that sometimes we make changes just for the sake of making changes. Because when you look at the value add to what is being suggested, there are more questions than there are answers. But let me now get back to TVETs.
Okay.
There was something which we used to refer to as grade tests. Are they still there?
Yes. We have, okay, maybe we don't call them grades now, we call them levels.
Yes.
We have all the way from level 1 to level 6.
Oh, 6?
Yes. Well, 6 is a diploma.
I knew them when they were up to 3. Now they're up to 6.
They're up to 6 now.
You see my point exactly? Somebody starts at a certain level and you keep rising.
You can transition from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4.
But what I liked about the grade test is the competence it gives you. It's all theory. By the time somebody is at grade 3, that person really understands that trade. You will not doubt it.
Yes.
Now, brings me to the point I'm getting to. Do you have a situation where there's an equivalency? I'm calling it that, for lack of a better word, where somebody who has gone through those processes and has reached, say, diploma, or has reached higher diploma, is there an equivalency to a degree?
No. After you finish level 6,
yes,
which is our diploma,
yes,
now you can transit to the university. And that is the question of the TUM and TUK now, where the directioning is that those 2 universities be readied to take over the graduates from the TVETs. Okay? So you study all the way from, if you like, level 1 to even level 6. Okay, if you are starting from level 1, because there are those who start higher up. So you can train from all the way from level 1 to level 6, a diploma, and you can transition to the university.
You see, this is what I'm asking. If I look at a curriculum for that diploma, okay, how different will it be from the curriculum for the degree, the undergraduate course? How different will it be?
I don't know. I haven't considered.
Actually,
I'm assuming the one will be more technical than the other.
So essentially, when you get a degree, they're teaching you more theory.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. But theory is supposed to lead you to be able to be
practice.
practical. Yes, exactly. That's what that's the whole idea behind theory.
What's your argument, CT? So if somebody has this technical skill at diploma level,
yes,
there's no need to transition to degree.
No. That is precisely what I'm saying. And if you have a high diploma, you should be at the level of a master's. That is really what I am saying.
So the recognition should be a diploma from a TVET, given by SIDAC, should be equal to,
is an equivalent of a degree,
an undergrad degree.
And if you have a higher diploma, then that is equivalent of a master's degree.
Okay. What I also know is that curricula is particular. So when you have a curricular training civil engineering from a university, and it was crafted at that university to train civil engineering, it's got its space. All right?
Yep.
And so when I come in with my diploma from a TVET institution, that institution should be able to look at what I have and be able to see what I might need to audit or otherwise, and be able to determine at what level they will be able to take me in. I'll tell you what I came from Jomo Kenyatta University, where we were training all these engineering programs, all right? And where there was what we call the credit transfer, okay? So anybody will be, not even from the technical universities, even from any college, say, even in America, in accordance with that curricula that has been developed for that particular degree, they'll be able to look at what you have done, be able to check whether you get in. Yes. There was an argument whether you have a diploma, you get in at year 2 or year 3, isn't it?
Yep.
So it is in accordance with the home of that particular curricula. They'll be able to look at it and tell you, okay, do 2 years of what we think you haven't done here before, and then you graduate. Or maybe in some universities, like you are saying, they can tell you to go to masters. That is dependent on the grounding of that particularized curricula.
Should this conversation actually happen, because it is raising a point, between the Kenya National Qualifications Authority and these other certifying bodies?
Yes.
So that they say, I mean, you've said, somebody who has gone from level 1 to level 6, or whatever level, they've even maybe have entered into level 6, but they have acquired this diploma, highly skilled in a certain trade. It should be recognized in a certain way. It shouldn't be, put a rank below.
It's discriminatory, actually.
Undergraduate
it's
degree.
Discriminatory.
Especially if you'd be finding that both of these individuals have the same baskets of knowledge.
And competence.
And many would argue that competence as well. And that many
the diploma person
that the diploma person
has
is
more
competent. Exactly.
Yes, but you see, that being the case, you may have well covered the technical part of it, all right? Well skilled. But now the degree in mechanical engineering might demand that you audit even entrepreneurship skills.
And you've not done that course.
And you have not done that course there before. So that's why I am saying you might come in with as good skills as that of a mechanical engineer in the university, all right? But the way that particular curriculum for mechanical engineering in that university is crafted requires you to do A, B, C, D, so that now when they graduate you, they will say they have graduated you according to this curriculum. And not any other. We have the KNQA, thank you for mentioning that. KNQA, which is in my department, is also able to look at whatever you have done and they place you at a particular level, all right? Wherever, like I've said before, wherever you have come with this competency, all right? And once they have placed you, then you are in a position to move on to whichever other place, to whichever other institution, and also be able to, because if KNQ will place you at a level, the levels I've talked about, level 1 to level 6, all right? Because that's my department. But now, when you go to, say, the university, they also have their home, and they will accommodate you in accordance with what they call their curricula. They might require you to audit a few units, and you qualify. That might take 1 or 2 years or something like that.
You know, the strange thing about, if you're talking about technical subjects, is that in other fields, in other disciplines, like, say, medicine, a clinical officer is not a doctor, not a nurse. But these are different disciplines. They're not the same. You're not a junior doctor. But in the technical subjects, you are the same person. An engineer is an engineer.
But you see,
you're an engineer only if you have the degree.
Yes.
I think I made my point.
The others, if you don't have a degree, you will not be called engineer.
And you have the degree according to that university, according to that institution.
P.S. As we wind up, there is a comment that I've got to read for you here. I once visited the TVET in Nakuru. One sewing machine that didn't have a thread to spin the wheel, only 4 desks in a class. The PS has to go around all these institutions and see what's happening.
I agree.
You agree that you have to go around?
Even much more than go around. I agree. I still have a lot of work to do. For me, Eric, that is hardware. I have started with the software. and that I am still doing the software. Let me finish. Even as, like I've said before, even as His Excellency is helping us with the institutions, which is perfect, with the machines, I am busy doing the software, which is the curricula and the trainers.
Training the trainers.
Training the trainers. I need to start by making sure that space is well taken care of.
Right.
So that I have something to teach and somebody to teach it and do it properly.
Got you.
After that, I will be able now to. I still have some of my people looking at what is happening on the ground.
On the hardware.
The machines, the tailoring machine without the threads, the hardware. But for me, because I have a particular path to follow, I want to start with the software. I will go into the hardware.
PS, thank you for joining us. Dr. Esther Moria is a PS for Technical Vocation Education and Training in the Ministry of Education. She's been our guest. Keep it here for more conversations, 9 a.m.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto will today commission the construction of 220 housing units in Bahati constituency in Nakuru County. The project is part of the ambitious plan to build 200 housing units in all constituencies across the country through the affordable housing program. The 220 units will be constructed on a 10-acre piece of land at an estimated cost of 505 million shillings and will include 60 studio units, 21 bedroom units, 122 bedroom units and 23 bedroom units. And Kenya has flagged off the second batch of nurses to the United Kingdom as part of a bilateral agreement on health partnerships between the two countries. Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakamicha and the UK Development Director Lee Stubblefield waived off 76 unemployed nurses who are said to be placed in various hospitals across the Great Britain and Northern Ireland. The health workers were selected from over 700 applicants and will leave the country today. They will be absorbed into the National Health Service, the public-funded British healthcare system. Under the Memorandum of Understanding signed in July 2021, Kenya is seeking to send 20,000 nurses to UK hospitals in a bid to improve the welfare of its migrant workers overseas. Now, Kenya Ports Authority has not complied with the two-thirds gender rule, according to a report by the National Assembly Committee on National Cohesion and Equal Opportunities. According to the committee report, the authority has 1,433 female staff members out of 6,522, which translates to 22%. Managing Director, Kenya Ports Authority, Captain William Ruto, has attributed the underrepresentation of women in these roles to the nature of KPA's operations, which heavily rely on machinery, plant and engineering work as a reason for the underrepresentation of women in these roles. Members have also questioned the disproportional representation of communities in the authority. And a suspect linked to the murder of a detective with the Directorate of Criminal Investigations was this morning shot dead in a dramatic shootout in Kayole, Nairobi. Police said John Kamau, aka Farouk, was killed by police bullets as he fought a group of detectives who had cornered him at his hideout in the Soweto area. Farouk shot and injured one of the officers who were out to arrest him, prompting the other colleagues to open fire, killing him. A pistol that was reportedly used in the shooting of Detective David Mayaka in an attack in Mihango on August 8th was recovered from the suspect. Police said the weapon, a SSK pistol and 12 bullets, was recovered from Farouk. And a member of parliament for Kajiado South constituency has assured his constituents of the establishment of a technical college in Kajiado South constituency, courtesy of the national government. While on a Meet the People tour in Kajiado South, Sakimba Parashina said the establishment of the college will help equip the local residents with technical skills for their own self-employment. Parashina pointed out the college will offer technical courses such as masonry, plumbing, electricianry and tailoring, among others. The legislator further added that with the new technical college, the rampant influx of learners from Loitoktok sub-county to other counties for these courses would be curbed because they will be available in the constituency. And Kenya could see a significant reduction in healthcare costs and improved efficiency by investing in digital technologies and data, according to a new report by the World Bank. According to the Digital in Health, Unlocking the Value for Everyone report by the lender, the country whose health budget in the current financial year amounts to 141.2 billion shillings can realize up to 43% in efficiency gains by investing in virtual interaction solutions, which include video visits with doctor or clinician, remote monitoring, and e-triage to determine healthcare needed by 2030. Similarly, digitization of health information exchanges and electronic health records could see the country gain as much as 30% in efficiency within 7 years, while on a 9% efficiency gain is projected through investment in decision intelligence systems such as supply chain predictive systems or clinical decision support or hospital digital twin systems. And West African nations have rejected a call by Niger's coup leaders for a 3-year transition back to democracy as the crisis hit country's neighbors weigh whether to take military action. General Abdurrahman Tiani has declared he will hold off a return to civilian rule after the army officers toppled President Mohamed Bazoum last month. This is Newsworm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Right, a little bit of traffic this morning. Tight on the Thika Superhighway right around the Pangani underpass. What we had seen before, that has opened up more or less and we're fine. You're coming in past the village market on Limuru Road today, then getting out towards the city, you'll find a jam-packed situation, but that again will open up. Langata Road has been doing very well today. Congratulations. We're seeing the same thing on the Southern Bypass and it's looking pretty free and clear through and through. Lunga Lunga is busy. Jogger Road still continues to be just a tad busy as you get towards Landis and then out towards the Kunji roundabout. Apart from that, traffic hasn't been too sore of a spot this morning. Hopefully we can keep it just so. Let's talk on Spice FM KE on Twitter. Keep things moving this Tuesday.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Situation Room this morning. Good morning and thank you very much for tuning in. Are you ready for Choma Ngoma this Saturday in Nakuru?
Rev your engine, folks, because a night of fun, food and partying is up this Saturday, the 26th of August. Choma Ngoma. You've always seen it in Nairobi. We're going to spin things up just a little bit, mix it up and shove it up through towards Nakuru. And the Rift Valley Sports Club is where all the action shall be taking place. And the artists lined up are Calligraph, Otile Brown, Niviri, Benso, Nadia Mukami, Saru and Father Moore. What are you talking about here? It's the 4th edition and it will be happening out of Nairobi for the first time. Tickets are available at ticketsasa.com for 800 shillings. City's already on the way. I'm telling you. Has gone.
He's in Kimende as we speak.
I'm about to descend into
the river. Yeah. And he's test driving this new car he bought at Automark. This Saturday, Automark has an open day. Go to Bellevue. That road at Bellevue is called Popper Road.
It's actually not called Bellevue.
It's not called Bellevue. That road is called Popper Road. Okay? How many government institutions are there? There's a weights and measures, there's cabs, there's... So before you get to the junction that takes you to Red Cross, on the right of Popo Road, there's Automark. Go there. Look at all the cars that they have. Pre-owned motor vehicles. Those ones that are genuine. When they tell you these shocks are good, the shocks are good. When they tell you this is the mileage, it is 120,000 kilometers, it's 120,000 kilometers. Okay? Not those ones where they'll bring it from 120 to 20. I tell you, this is only 20,000 kilometers, accident-free.
One owner,
lady-owned.
Just driven in town on tarmac.
Twice.
Accident-free.
Yes.
My friend.
Clean.
Shock on you.
So, for your best pre-owned motor vehicles, please visit Automark. Now, we've been talking about data protection, data laws in this country. Recently, we saw the whole matter of an attack on our e-citizen platform, and everybody was concerned. Oh my goodness, e-citizen knows me. You know my ID number. They have my password to e-citizen. You go into e-citizen, you can find all the pre-owned motor vehicles under my name. You go to
under the owners.
Surely, is that data safe? The Ministry of ICT said, well, the attack did not get into the data bit, but people are like, Few days later, crowd, KICC, they are lining up to look into an orb. Look into an orb, get paid.
The looking wasn't the key thing. The looking was an avenue. It was a path.
It was the money.
It was a path to an amount of money that many people found useful. That crowd.
It was a means to an end.
Yes, the proof of that concept. That amount was useful.
It was the money.
Yes.
Yeah. I've seen memes now going around saying, what is it called? WorldCoin. Ile 7,000 imeisha. Kujeni mutumulike mapua.
We have other things to show you.
We even have a forehead. We have teeth. Yes.
Ile ya macho imeisha.
Ile mlitoa ya macho.
What is it that was happening in the country? The questions now start emerging on how well our data protection laws are actually protecting our data. And we are now joined by an expert in this matter. Amit Gadia is a lawyer and advocate of the High Court and is an expert on data protection laws. And he's joining us to have this conversation. Amit, good morning.
Morning.
Thank you very much for joining us. That is the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Thank you.
What would you like us to mulika? We have some money to give.
We can start with my eyes. And for record purposes, I never gave my irises.
You didn't?
So they are still available.
Still available.
They're still full.
They're free. Nothing has been taken.
We can start somewhere.
Yes.
All right. To welcome you to the conversation, CT Muga has the day's proverb.
Our proverbs for the whole of this week are from the country of Burkina Faso. Even if you do not like the hair, recognize its speed.
Even if you do not like the hair, recognize its speed.
Watch out.
That's not gonna let.
Look at Amit. It's not hair.
Not hair,
bro.
not that hair.
It's no. Hey. It's that cousin of the rabbit. Yes, that's the one.
Okay.
Yes.
Even if you do not like Kakasungura,
yes,
recognize its speed.
Yes.
What do you think the proverb is saying?
I think if I make the analogy with technology, if technology has been moving at a slow speed, if we think about where artificial intelligence is taking us, the word artificial intelligence was hardly coined a few years back, right? Yet in this day and age, every day you do not open the newspaper without hearing the word AI. So in that sense, AI has been a hare. But now it is moving exponentially.
So moving
too fast. And in that, the data protection laws and broader laws globally, which are associated with AI, are not able to keep up. And every day we are all looking at how to regulate AI. In fact, globally, there are no AI regulations as we speak yet. So, yeah.
Very good perspective. Thank you very much for that. There are people nowadays who are calling themselves data experts on various fronts. Data protection expert, data, I don't know what, expert. You are a data expert as well when it comes to law. Did you study data protection at university or the Kenya School of Law?
Data protection is a very new space globally. If anybody tells you they've studied data protection at university, I don't think that'd be correct to say. Data protection in Kenya specifically has been around since November 2019 when we got our Data Protection Act, and even before that in Article 31 of the Constitution of Kenya since 2010. So the right to privacy is enshrined in our constitution. However, studying data protection is a more broader subject. It's more about reading articles, what's happening globally, what's happening within Kenya, what's happening wider within Africa. And I'm proud to say that Africa is the continent with the highest amount of data protection laws. Out of the 52 plus countries, already we have 40 plus which have data protection laws. So to answer your question straight, yes, it is more about getting certifications, learning on the job, learning from the experts, senior in the developed countries and within Africa.
Like you said, this sphere is actually moving very fast.
Correct.
Now we have laws. The law that we have in this country was enacted in what year?
2019.
2019.
Correct.
A lot has happened since 2019.
Absolutely.
Is our law.
And the regulations came into force in July 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even looking at 2022 July, which is a year and 2 months down the road, are we at par with the developments in this space?
Again, it depends what you mean by at par. If the ODPC's office is just over a year old, and they have moved substantially fast by looking at the registration of data controllers and processors. I mean, to use the term more simply, it's about organizations who process personal data. I mean, without going into who are data controllers and processors. They have issued numerous guidelines. They've issued numerous penalties. I mean, some of the largest penalties which have been issued in East Africa has been by ODPC. For example, if you look at the cases of the digital lenders a few months back, 40 digital lenders were declined licenses by the Central Bank of Kenya because they are not compliant with the data protection laws. Some telecommunication companies have been fined, right? So I think in that respect, there has been a lot which has been going on. So it's important to remember that the ODPC's office, though it is quite young, insofar as I'm concerned, I think they have already a number of offices regionally, not countrywide. Yeah.
It's interesting because this space, this sphere that then is being operated within when it comes to data protection and its policies is an ever-changing one.
Correct.
With medicine, for example, there's some basic things, right, that will never change, doesn't matter.
No.
That the rules of infection, for example, are going to be the same. That
yes.
If you do something in a certain way, you could get infected, you will get sick. This is the treatment. This is what would happen. What would be different was that maybe there would be technologies that could treat you faster or cure you. That maybe in the few years you would have a cure.
Correct.
But the basic thing you know about medicine remains the basic thing.
Yes.
In this space, it's changing every day.
Correct.
There are new technologies. The very basic function of this data and the way we see it. You mentioned AI, very few years old. Something new may come up tomorrow. Can you really have an expert on something that changes literally on the day?
It's for data protection, it is difficult to have somebody who can call themselves a 100% expert. But like in any other subject, for example, the laws are when it comes to technology, some of the other laws within Kenya and globally, they changed almost on a daily basis. So what you need to do is keep up with the relevant sector of laws. So, for example, others are much more developed, like employment laws, company laws, accounting laws, medicine, right? Those are fairly developed for a number of decades, if not centuries. Data protection is a very new space. And for data protection laws to be expecting data protection laws, AI regulations to upkeep with those which have been set up decades back, I think that would be unrealistic.
Sure.
Yeah.
When we think about data protection as well, we often think of it in a negative light. I'll explain.
Correct.
Because we often think something simply bad will happen. And so when we think data protection, you think, oh my gosh, when we heard this thing the other day, the first thing was, all right, first, all of your information is going to go, it's going to be in the hands of somebody else who manipulate it or do whatever else they would want to do with it, right?
Correct.
So it's in a negative light that we often view it. Do you how then do you deal, or what would then be the advice, as you say, here are banks of sensitive information that are privy or that are at risk of then being attacked by anybody who's into any kind of nefarious activity.
Yeah.
What would be your basic advice that you would say these are things you must have, or these are things that you should not do to make sure, because it's going to be WorldCoin today coming in talking to people, it's going to be somebody else tomorrow, it's going to be sell this, it's going to be one Ponzi scheme tomorrow doing something else. Do you think that laws should become almost prohibitive when it comes to certain things?
One thing is, when it comes to data protection laws, you spoke about banks, you spoke about organizations, that is going to be a bad thing. Instead of portraying data protection in a negative way, it is important to portray it in what positive impact it can have within an organization and to an individual. What is important is, most organizations, especially those who have shareholders, they have to have a return, a value to their shareholders.
Yep.
So in mature jurisdictions like the US and Europe, there have been studies which have been going on for the last 5-6 years since the General Data Protection Regulation came in US. There's actually a report by Cisco that those who are early implementers of data protection, they have actually got value on their investment twice the value in dollar terms in the investment. So in terms of
how is that assessed?
Well, there is a report where they assessed more than 2,700 or 2,500 old organizations where they implemented. There were certain matrix. Don't ask me about matrix. I'm bad with statistics. But I can send you the report. It is online. It's by Cisco. They have a report every year. In 2022, they had a report also in 2021. So that means those organizations who are seeing the value, the real value, is that they have started to implement, and then the value in data privacy, the investment in data privacy is increasing. What is important is for an individual, myself, yourself, we all have data subject rights.
Yeah.
All, as a local citizen, local resident, you need to ask anywhere who is asking for data, whether that is a bank, telecommunication company, or a newspaper, ask them, how are you processing my personal data? You want my phone number, no problem. Show me where your privacy notice is. Show me who you are sharing my data with. What is your lawful basis? You want my iris, no worries. I'll give you my iris. But then are you following the law? Right? Are you explaining to me in the language I understand that you are going to use my iris, which is my currency, right? Which is my personal data in the way I feel is reasonably right. And those are very simple things you need to understand, and then you can give it to them. That is not an issue. If not, then they are not doing their job properly.
Can you ask the same of the government?
Yes, you can. Right? Under the data protection law, unless there are certain exemptions, right? But those are very few. Even the government needs to comply with the Data Protection Act. When it comes to for example, in some of the mature jurisdictions, in the UK, the political parties have been fined for data breaches, right? In some of the European countries, the city councils have been fined for data protection breaches. So the government is not exempt.
Because you see, the government collects a lot of our data from very many points. Now, let's just look at eCitizen, for instance. So you go into eCitizen, you go into any of the services that's being offered. Go to NTSA, you're applying for a driving license, to renew a driving license. You're giving them all the information that they require. In fact, they tell you, come for a smart DL. So visit our office so we can then gather your biometric data. You give them your biometric data. Immigration department asks for the same biometric data. You give them your biometric data. They are correlating all this, and they're able to tell that you are the one who's logged on to eCitizen. At what point am I able to ask how much of my information I'm giving to one department of government, and what that department of government is doing with that data, and whether it can share with any other department of government, and for what purpose?
Let's flip that question.
Let's flip it.
The question and the answer to your question is, at what point are they obliged by law to inform me of my rights and who they're sharing it with?
Okay.
And the answer to that is at the point of collection. So the moment you log into any website, whether it's government, private, charity, education, at the point they're collecting, or you walk into a supermarket, they are meant to tell you what data they're collecting from you, what are your data subject rights, who they're sharing the data with, how long they're going to keep your data, what are the principles of data protection, how they're adhering to it, and if they're transferring data abroad. That has to be set out in a simple, concise manner in a privacy notice, and that has to be brought to the attention of the individual.
Amit, do such exist? Let's go to the Department of Immigration. You're applying for a passport. They are gathering all this information from you. So you seek an appointment through eCitizen. They give you the appointment, and then you go into their office at Nyeri House, you queue, you give them all these things. At what point are they giving you that consent form to tick the box?
Well, I applied for my passport a long time back, so I don't know whether it exists at the moment. But ideally, say that from the example you have given me, right? I've not checked the practices they have. So the moment you walk into, say, a government department, there has to be a notice, right? For example, even a CCTV footage. So we say, for example, I spent the last 4 or 5 weeks photographing CCTV notices, and I'm told by my family I'm a bit weird because I look.
This premise is under CCTV survey, 24-hour CCTV surveillance.
So you notice that whenever we walk into some of the organizations, they say it is under CCTV surveillance, right?
Yeah.
What are they doing? They are giving you a notice that you are on CCTV surveillance. And then what they're also meant to do, they're meant to tell you how they are processing that data. So they're meant to have either CCTV policy or their privacy notice, what is on there, okay? When they start processing your biometrics, now biometric data, you mentioned biometric data, fingerprints, voice recognition, hair is also biometric data.
Touche.
They must have, those are known as sensitive personal data. Right? So, for example, your race, gender, your social, ethnic origin, your property details, your financial details are your sensitive personal data.
Yeah.
Now, that is a subset of personal data which requires a higher category of protection, right? And especially when you talk about biometrics, it is very important to get the right informed consent from the individual. Yeah.
So these guys come into the country, and they somehow are able to mobilize people to come to KICC, and they collect all this kind of biometric info that they got. The Office of the Data Protection Commissioner says they came, they applied for our consent, we give them some consent. Are there some loopholes that they were able to exploit that you can say, as far as the law is concerned, in many instances, the law is being followed.
Yeah.
But then there are some areas that maybe the law is grey, which would now allow for more of this information to be collected without more scrutiny.
But
yes, CT?
I'm asking, consent. What consent were they applying for?
Those are the things.
You see, without going into the intricacies of what may or may not have transpired between the ODPC and the WorldCoin, right? There is a broader misconception in Kenya that once you're registered as a data controller, as a data processor, organizations, first of all, let's take a step back. any organization, provided it meets certain thresholds of number of employees or number of your turnover, annual turnover, you need to register with the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, right? Failing which, this is under Section 19 of the Data Protection Act. I think it's Section 19. If you are not registered, you must register to process personal data. There are also mandatory sectors which need to register, right? So what may have been happening, they might have said that we have registered with the Data Commissioner's Office. Now here's a registration certificate. This gives us a license. Now, as I said, I stand to be corrected. So they may have used a registration certificate. But that is a registration with the ODPC's office is a very minor compliance. The rest is all about demonstrating continuously with your policies, procedures, contracts, data protection impact assessments, how you are complying.
I still don't understand. What's the certificate for? I mean, you're collecting data. So what are you collecting the data for? What is your function? What is your job? What business are you in?
Correct.
Yes.
So if I may just go back one bit, like when you talk about the certificate of registration,
yes,
and you're saying you're then compliant, it's like saying that you have got a KRA PIN, and now you're compliant with your tax obligations. Is that correct? No, it's not correct. A KRA PIN number is simply to show that you have started your compliance.
Yes.
That is, and if I may use that analogy, to use with the same with the data controller, data processor, right? When you register with the ODPC's office.
That's it.
That's it, and there is more to it. There is far more to it than just registration.
That's the knock on the door.
You need more licensing or more applications.
Well, I would not say more applications. I would say you need. I'm not talking about Vulcan, but generally speaking, you need to demonstrate compliance. So how? Basically, we talked about the privacy notice.
Yeah.
How are you? You're using the personal data. Who are you sharing it with? What is your lawful basis? For example, there are 8 lawful bases under the Data Protection Act. Some of them are a bit overlapping, but then if you do not have a lawful basis for processing, and consent is one of them, we'll talk about consent. If you do not have the lawful basis for processing personal data, you cannot process personal data. It's as simple as that. So anybody processing personal data must have a lawful basis for processing. So that is one step. The second step is how have you done a data protection impact assessment, especially for biometric data. So biometric data, you must submit a data protection impact assessment to the ODPC's office at least 60 days before you start processing.
Before you start processing
the personal data.
Okay.
Right? Also, there is the issue of now, we've talked about, we are now focusing on the ODPC's office, but let's look at the broader picture. Is the ODPC's office the only person who gives green light for collection of personal data? If you're an organization, what do you need to do? You need to register, whether you're a foreign company or you're a local company. The bigger question is, were they registered with the company's registry?
Okay.
Has anybody explored that angle? Yes.
So in the event that you're collecting information from anybody or whatever, you need to be an entity, number one.
A legal entity.
And you need to register on that fact alone, that you will be collecting information from individuals. You must register with the ODPC's office.
Correct.
Okay.
But before that, you need to be an entity.
Yeah.
So you need to go to the BRS.
In the first place.
And register
that is the question.
As an entity. Right? So then you become a corporate citizen.
And if we talk about digital wallets, getting registration certificates. What is a digital wallet? Right? It's like a bank account, right?
Right.
Who regulates
it? Or who is it? Is it the CBK?
Yeah. Have they been asked the question? Were they authorized? Did they authorize
to operate a digital wallet?
To operate the digital wallet?
Hey, hold on. Let's take a break. Many questions. What are the legal loopholes in our data protection laws and regime in the country? Are there any, and how can they be sealed? We are talking to Advocate of the High Court, Amit Gadia, who is a data protection expert. He has studied quite a bit in terms of the law and understands a lot of this, and is a practitioner in this now. You're also not just an advocate, you advise, and you are protector or an officer or a collector?
I'm a data protection officer and consultant.
A data protection
and
officer and a consultant and all those things. 26 minutes to 10. Tell us about TV.
That you can be watching.
Yes.
Now that you're on holiday.
Yes.
With DSTV. And it's very simple. All you need to do, I'm going to tell you what to do from the end, then we can fuel your interest, isn't it?
Okay.
*423#. Or download My DSTV, that's the app, and see how you can get onto all these wonderful channels. Now, what are they, you ask? Imagine Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir every day at 4:15 on the Disney Channel. That's channel 303. Imagine channels like this are 15 in number on the DSTV, dedicated channels for children's content. It's imagination, it's edutainment, it's information, and it's just a great world of wonderful activity while they're still on holiday. Imagine all that impacted on them, and then they're going back to school, getting into the imagination of it. It's great with DSTV.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Oh, finally! It's my Standard Courier delivery.
At Standard Courier, we know that your time is valuable. That's why we guarantee swift and efficient deliveries to your doorstep every time. Give us a call on 0793 599 684 or schedule your next delivery by visiting our website www.standardmedia.co.ke/courier. Trust Standard Courier service for all your courier needs. We deliver with pride.
Some very nice, mature music.
It really took me back to my days, and I can just feel young again and enjoy the vibes.
Spice.
I'm a big listener of Spice FM.
You play the best music.
This is 94.4 Spice
Sunny at 18 in
FM.
Nairobi, highs of 25 and lows of 12. We'll see lows of 12 as well. It is sunny in Nakuru, going to highs of 26. 25 will be the high in Nyeri, where it is sunny at 17. 20 and sunny in Eldoret, highs of 25 and lows of 13. We're looking into a sunny Mombasa. It'll go to highs of 30 and lows of 23. Into Malindi, we're looking at sunny conditions, highs of 30 and lows of 24, and it's sunny at 26 in Kisumu with highs of 31. We'll see lows of 20. Into Kakamega, it is sunny at 25, highs of 30 and lows of 16. Kampala is sunny today, highs of 29 and lows of 18. Dar es Salaam is sunny at 27, highs of 28 and lows of 23, and it's sunny for a change with higher temperatures at 21 in Johannesburg, highs of 27. It's 26 and sunny in Lagos, highs of 30 and lows of 25. At 22, it's sunny in Kinshasa. Looking into Tuesday afternoon, Beijing is sunny, highs of 31, and we'll see highs of 31 as well in Paris with highs of 26 in a warm, sunny London. It's mostly cloudy at 24, still Monday night in New York. Coming into Tuesday, we'll see highs of 26 and lows of 18.
Love Spice FM because of one, the music.
The playlist is good.
Spice.
You play the best music.
More of the classics and the hits you love. We are Spice FM.
All right, I think we're out of traffic hour. Not that I think, I know, because not much left on the roads this morning. It hasn't been too terrible today. It's been that Tuesday, except on Limuru Road. We're still just experiencing those who decided to wake up a little bit later. And we're seeing some movement getting into the city. But apart from that, you'll be able to get where you're going in and out of the city in no time. Just a little bit left on the Thika Superhighway, then as you get towards the Pangani Underpass. Other than that, you'll be fine. Let's talk through the morning on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
Business news with Spice FM.
I'm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto has announced visa-free entries to Kenya for holders of Indonesian passports following talks with President Joko Widodo. President Ruto said that the move is aimed at fostering economic ties and attract investments in the country. The head of state emphasized the importance of gradually easing visa restrictions and fostering greater people-to-people interactions between the two nations. Acting Director General Alice Kande has said that the Kenyan National Qualifications Authority is working closely with the industry to address the paradox of skills mismatch in the country. Speaking in Kisumu during a panel discussion on TVET with the theme Strengthening and Sustaining Linkages with the Industry and TVET Systems, Kande said the government is keen to address the gap by developing and implementing a robust recognition of prior learning systems to ensure that skills and competencies relevant to the industry needs are recognized and certified. The event, which attracted more than 70 participants, was organized by Hamba College, Bondo Technical Institute and Sigalagala National Polytechnic. Kenya has committed 28.7 million shillings to support the aviation security and facilitation program by the International Civil Aviation Organization. Transport Principal Secretary Mohamed Dagar said the voluntary contribution will support the implementation of enhanced aviation security measures in Africa. Dagar said the funding will also enable ICAO to support the implementation of enhanced aviation security measures in Africa. The Konza Technopolis Development Authority has carried out a tree planting exercise in support of the National Tree Growing Restoration Campaign that was launched by President William Ruto in December 2022, which calls for an increase in the national tree cover to 30% by 2032. Further, the exercise is in regards to the presidential directive on 3rd August 2023 to accelerate tree growing in Konza. The exercise targets to grow 1 million trees in 1 year. For Spice Business, I'm Dennis Aseto.
Spice FM Business.
Minutes to the top of the hour.
Spice up your
data protection laws in the country. We've got an office of the Data Protection Commissioner. We have Data Protection Act. We have regulations on data protection in the country. Amit Gadia is a lawyer. He's a data protection lawyer. He's also a data protection officer?
Officer.
That one. He's a data protection officer.
Meaning he's an officer of the court, he's a data protection officer.
All these things. Loopholes that exist. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You're saying there are very many areas, even if we still have an office of the Data Protection Commissioner, this office must work with other agencies of government. So then we can ensure that all the information that's collected is safeguarded. It's processed in accordance with the law. But that's very many things to do, Amit. So is it the law that should say this? Is it the regulations that should say this? Do the regulations say this?
Well, I mean, it's a good question. In terms of regulations, yes, we are fairly heavily regulated. But then at the same time, if you think about it, if the regulations were not there, how are some of these organizations who come and take data, some of which is very intrusive, how are they meant to be brought to account?
Mm-hmm.
So how are you meant to look for accountability, transparency of who is processing your personal data and data generally speaking, right?
Yeah.
And yes, I mean, the paperwork is extensive. Sometimes applying for some of these laws and regulations is heavy. But then let's not forget Kenya is the leading tech hub in sub-Saharan Africa. And tech is the fastest moving sector at the moment globally as well as in Kenya. So laws regulating artificial intelligence, data protection, cybersecurity have to be much more highly regulated, in my opinion. Yeah.
Is it enough?
Depends. The technology, how the fast the technology is going to be moving in future. At the moment, the rules and regulations are there, but then again, how you interpret the rules, and that is how the regulations, the misconceptions arise. So let me give you an example of how the misconceptions arise. For example, everybody talks about consent. That I'm taking your consent to process your personal data.
Yes.
Okay? And even when I look at some of these privacy notices, when you talk about, they talk about consent of taking biometric data, consent is usually not taken in a very accurate manner. The law has a very high bar on how you seek a data subject or an individual's consent. So first of all, it has to be in the manner they understand. It has to be given freely, voluntarily. It has to be given in a manner which they can easily withdraw. So now let's talk about if somebody
must also understand the harms and the possibilities of ills that can arise from this.
In a simple language they understand.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that also applies to the Mama Mboga, who is everyone,
yes.
because she is also a data subject. She has rights to data, data protection. And if you are going to be inducing someone with monetary amounts and saying you give us your most sensitive personal data,
that's coercion,
right? Is that voluntary or is that coercion?
It's coercion,
especially at the moment we are going through a huge crisis of a cost of living crisis, right? Where the amounts which are being paid is equivalent to your monthly salary. What will you do? Is that valid consent? That is my question. No, it isn't. Let's take another simple example of consent in an employer and an employee situation.
Right.
Right. When somebody says that for recruitment we need all your data, are you really? And the employee needs a job, right? Who is in a higher bargaining position, the employer or the employee?
Well, the power is shifting to the employer.
So that is how you need to look at consent. Right? A consent has to be the first principle of data protection. It has to be lawful, fair, and transparent. You will not find a single data protection law globally, but this is not the principle of data protection. It's as simple as that. So it has to be fair.
Sure, it has to be fair. My issue here is that nobody's sharing this information. Who's tasked with the responsibility of making sure that everybody knows this? Who bells the cat here? Because if somebody says share your information, you're the desperate one who's looking for a job. At that point, you're not really thinking, well, you know what? These people have a responsibility to protect me because with the data that I've given to them, right? It's not public awareness. Nobody is putting it on billboards out there saying that you must be extremely careful. We fault folks who went and lined up at KICC the other day and gave their iris. Yeah, okay. But how many of those individuals, truth be told, had prior knowledge and information that, you know what, you could be getting 7,000 shillings, but there is a danger here. How much of that information is made public? It isn't. Yes, there's an office, there's a commissioner, there is an office that has been established, but in terms of information sharing, there is close to nothing. Who's protecting the people who are giving the information?
You know that they're part of what they ought to have done. Someone cannot gather your data and not tell you what they're going to do with it.
But they have. But cannot? Yes, they can. They've done it, CT.
No.
They should not.
That they have doesn't mean ability, yes. They're not supposed to.
And that's why it starts with you who is giving your information.
Yes.
If you're aware, then there's bigger safeguard has already been taken care of.
Yes.
Because then you'll ask those questions. You'll say, no, before I give you my data,
what are you doing with it?
What are you doing with it? What are you supposed to do with it? How are you going to process this data? How can I withdraw from this process at any point, at any stage?
Not just withdraw. When you withdraw, how certain will I be that my data is no longer available to you? Because it's not me moving physically. It's my data not being available to you for you to use. Yes.
Is that the job of the ODPC?
The ODPC has various functions. And one of them is of course, bringing awareness. Given the time, the ODPC's office needs to create more awareness. As you know, it's a very young office with limited resources. At the same time, the number of offices, they have been holding awareness sessions throughout the country. However, data protection awareness is not only a Kenya issue. It's not an East African or an African issue. It's a global issue. If you go to some of these Western countries, right, a lot of the organizations, like I travel extensively in some of these countries, and even the practices I see there sometimes are below par as to what data protection laws are in those countries. So it's more about creating awareness at a local level, regional level, and a global level. How long it will take, it's another matter altogether. But I think it's all a matter of taking responsibility as an individual, as a corporation. Though it may be even the ODPC is the driving force, but behind that we have the corporations as well. Right, as I alluded to earlier, that corporations will see value in this if they invest in privacy and data protection, which then it will seep down and filter down not only to their customers, suppliers, employees.
I mean, okay, let's delve into those waters a little bit, because we're all here talking about it's dangerous. Okay, fine. How dangerous is it? What could actually happen if somebody had your information? What could they do with it?
Somebody had your iris.
Yeah. What could what could they do with it? Because we're here. Okay, it sounds really ominous, and we're like, oh, okay, somebody could have my information.
The number
and walk
of
around.
the beast.
Yeah, exactly. But okay, what could they do with it if they actually had it? If they had your ID, they had your date of birth, they had all of that, what could actually be done with your info?
There is a lot that can be done. And without going into the many examples, so for example, all of us have a bank account, right? Yeah. All you need is to call your bank and ask them that I need to transfer these funds from my account to, say, your account, okay? What are the security questions they're going to ask me?
When are you going to ask the bank to do that?
You're interested in it, especially when it's from his account to yours.
That's what I meant to say. Please go on.
So they say, okay, my name is Amit Gadia. This is my ID number. This is my email address. This is my this is my account number. What are they going to do? They've been trained that these are the security questions you need to ask.
Yes.
Straight away there'll be a transfer.
Yeah.
Okay, of your personal data.
Yeah.
If there is a cyber breach and they get the data of all the individuals, more than 10,000 individuals, can you imagine the scale of that breach? Now here, you can probably change your email address. Yeah. You can change your phone number.
Yep.
Can you change your iris? Can you change your fingerprint? Can you change your voice? You cannot, right? So you can imagine in the future with this age of artificial intelligence, how long is it going to take for such issues to happen?
In fact,
and when I read some of these privacy notices of especially who process biometric data, they say that it may your data is safe. It may not be possible for us to replicate your biometric data. It may not be possible. They are not guaranteeing you that.
Yeah.
So who is the risk now? To answer your question. Right? It is a huge risk. I mean, to use this cliche which comes again and again, data is your currency.
Yeah.
Data is the new oil, right? It often comes, right? But it's just we don't appreciate as individuals that this is my ownership. My data is my ownership. It is my currency. It is more valuable than the money in my pocket.
In fact, what you're saying is best exemplified with something that I've read about, something called a SIM swap.
Yeah.
Where
we suffered that in this country.
Yes.
Right?
Where there are applications where people can actually do that. And given that we walk around with these gadgets, and literally our entire life is actually in here. Details, everything that we think about.
They do SIM swap and they take over.
They take over, and once they take over your SIM, they God alone knows what else they'll be able to do with it.
Yeah.
And especially the vulnerable people are more exposed. Children, old people, right? Disabled people. They are much more exposed, and this is how the hacking really starts. I mean, some of the sophisticated hackers who, I get calls regularly from some of these guys saying, your account has been hacked. We need to get your phone number. We need to get your email address. I'm like, yeah, try again. But then, because I know these laws, I eat and drink.
You are in this space, yes.
But then can you imagine my mom, my uncles,
immediately give
who are over 70, they'll immediately give it.
They'll give. You touched on a story of you going around buildings and photographing CCTV cameras and CCTV notices.
Yes.
What was that all about?
Well, I just like to see how organizations from malls to supermarkets to banks, how they are doing data protection. Because the moment they take CCTV footages, like some of the CCTV cameras are so intrusive. They not only record your facial recognition, they not only recognize your movements, but they record your voice. They are so sophisticated, some of them can recognize you even a mile away, what you are talking about. In fact, in some of these countries, and I don't want to name names, that if you are captured in some of the CCTV footages, they can actually see if you are politically subversive. And the next moment you get arrested, the moment you're talking. They're that intrusive.
Wow.
What? So yes. Yes.
Not in Kenya yet.
No, not in Kenya. At least not in the moment. But then you can Google, you'll see what some of the countries I'm talking about. So you have to be very careful when it comes to CCTVs. Right? So that is one of the reasons why I say, those clients, and then I then try to promote best practices. Asking some of my clients, those who I advise, say, look, if you have a CCTV footages, please be very careful, because it can lead to...
What are they supposed to do? I mean, what's best practice? Say you're walking into a mall and they tell you this building is under CCTV surveillance. What should they do with that data?
Ideally, first of all, you ask them the question, they should have a CCTV notice at the point of collection.
Okay.
The moment you walk in.
And the notice is just that thing saying this building is under 24-hour CCTV surveillance, or is there more?
No, there are more. And then where can you get information how that CCTV footage is being processed?
Okay. So they should
there has
add
to be
that.
a privacy notice on that.
Okay.
Okay, or at least a link to it, or at least make you reasonably provide you with that at your request.
Okay.
We flipped that question. Remember, it is not your obligation to ask; it is their obligation to provide you. Right. So then the next step is what is the purpose? So you must have a specific purpose for the CCTV. Is it for security? Is it for the car registration numbers? What is it for? Right. And then what is a lawful basis? As I said, if they do not have a lawful basis, and there are 8 under the Kenya Data Protection Law, they cannot process. And then how long are they going to retain it for? If they say you're going to retain it for months and years, that is excessive. So these are just some of the basic questions you need to ask them. Let me know the purpose. Where are you keeping it? Where are you storing it?
But they're supposed to let us know.
Correct.
There should be somewhere, as you're walking around the mall, maybe they have a QR code that says "Scan here," so that you can get into knowing what we are doing
at the point of collection.
At the point of collection.
Correct.
If it's the parking companies, you drive in and it already knows your car registration, and the next time you go in, it already recognizes you're back. You're parked at this particular place. They should also tell you.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Many questions people are asking. How do I protect the data that I've given to a mobile operator from that information going to KRA and to others?
Well, that's, I'll not go into specifics, but then if you have given data to any organization, they also have a lawful basis of legal obligation. Right? So, for example, if you're giving your data to your employer, for example, your KRA PIN number, they share it with KRA, they have a lawful basis of a legal obligation to whom they are supposed to share it. Okay? If you are giving if let's also talk about CCTV footage. If you have a CCTV footage and there is a criminal offense which has occurred, within the compound of the Standard Group, then an enforcement comes and says, okay, I need the CCTV footage. You are under legal obligation to give that data. And that applies to all organizations, right, who have a legal obligation. So again, let's flip the question is, how do you know your data is safe? You should go and ask a telecommunication company, how do I know my data is safe? And they are obliged to provide you with all this information by law. Yeah.
What if they do?
There was a story the other day we read in the paper. Somebody went to court and said, my neighbor has been filming me using their CCTV. They're calling it their security. But the security camera is basically directed
into my compound.
They are spying on me. Okay, of course, these things happen. Every neighborhood does. There's a guy who will put CCTVs all around.
Yes.
What should that person do?
Well, there's been a very interesting case in the UK where one of these the person was using domestic CCTV cameras, and they were putting cameras faced on the driveway, on the garden, on wherever, everywhere, and it was just going everywhere. And then the neighbor said, "You are, this is intrusive. Can you be very careful?" can you remove or can you, somehow adjust the CCTV cameras? He refused. He was sued. And he was the person who sued, the litigant, was awarded almost like, I think, if I'm not wrong, about £500,000 or something like that in damages. It's a huge amount, right? So the long and the short is, whenever you're processing CCTV footages, make sure it is reasonable and proportionate. Right? It all depends on how you're using it. I mean, if you use a small CCTV camera in Spice FM's compound, it's not reasonable proportion because it's not going to serve your purpose. You will need more than one.
Yeah.
But if you're in a small house or a small apartment, one is sufficient. Why do you need to put 5? You need to...
All around the house.
Exactly. So you need to look at things that way.
Okay. Amit, thank you very much for joining us. You should come again soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Come, let's talk practicals. I'm sure you have very many practical cases of things and encounters that you've had with data breaches, and people just not being aware of their obligations on how to collect and process data. Asante. Amit Gadia is a data protection lawyer. He's a data protection officer. That means you've been given that thing by the ODPC.
Yeah, well, yes, ODPC, you have to register as a data controller and a data processor. But then there is no one particular course or certification as we have for lawyers or accountants, surveyors, doctors. I'm sure in the future we are going to come up with certifications
something like that,
which are locally based.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to apply to be one as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Have a lovely day, people. Have a
Thank
good
you.
one. I'll see you again tomorrow. It's 10 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto is expected to commission the construction of 220 housing units in Bahati constituency, Nakuru County. The project is part of the ambitious plan to build 200 housing units in all constituencies across the country through the affordable housing program. The 220 units will be constructed in a 10-acre piece of land